Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Flintlocks and Fireballs, where a handful of man-actors will attempt to survive the treacherous waters of Dungeons and Dragons. I am your host and Dungeon Master, Jason Phelps, and I am joined, as ever, by Robbie, the unrelenting stone, Bellekom, Sam, the churning waves burns, and Ellie, the cleansing fire sparrow.
I like mine the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
We all won this
reversals
week.
today, just to put you on edge. So,
Cleansing fire. Doing fire motions with my arms, listeners. You can't tell what I am.
are they fires, or are you doing a very slow impression of the wacky inflatable arm flailing?
Yeah. They're like a cheese string.
Oh.
Oh, you might not have cheese strings in the US.
Well, you might not have cheese. I mean, they probably do, but I don't know if they have the same mascot. It feels like a very American food, does cheese
It does.
It does.
From the company that brought... From the company? What?
Do
from
you have cheese strings? Tell us.
Yes.
Tweet us.
From the country that brought us strange plastic-wrapped cheese slices.
And spray cheese.
And spray cheese.
Which is disturbing to me.
Yeah.
Cheese shouldn't spray.
No. No.
Sounds like one of those things that started as a joke, but then got taken too seriously.
Speaking of taking things too seriously, it's time when we ask future us, what messages from the present...
Oh,
no.
honey.
It's been a long week. It's Future Jason with messages from the present. Listen up for a spot from our friends over at Chasm Quest during the break this episode. Sam is back in Witch again tomorrow afternoon, the 28th August at 2 p.m. at the Boscastle Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. If you're in the southwest and haven't already, check out this tale of 16th century guilt and suspicion against the backdrop of the witch trials of the time. Ellie is guesting on a panel at Podcast Maker Weekend on Saturday, 14th September. As you may have guessed from the name, Podcast Maker Weekend is a diverse series of podcasting workshops that run alongside the London Podcast Festival, focusing on the art, craft, tech, business and politics of podcasting. The weekend takes place at King's Place, a music and arts venue just across the street from King's Cross Station, London. Along with Maximilian John from Pax Fortuna and The Infinite Bad, Ellie will be hosting a panel on creating actual play podcasts, discussing how this got started, and tips on starting your own. The panel runs between noon and 1 p.m. at the Battle Bridge. No, sorry, apparently it's just the Battle Bridge room. Okay, put down the dueling swords. And tickets will be £8.50 per person. You can book these online at podcastmakerweekend.com. And that's it for announcements this time. Back to you, Past Jason. What other foods would make poor sprays? Brisket?
Jam.
Bread.
Yeah.
Oh, bread
spray.
Just spray it straight onto a piece of ham.
Oh.
I mean, I have basically butter spray
Spray
in the
butter's
kitchen.
already a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, I can see a market for it. Fine coatings of mayonnaise to reduce the amount of mayonnaise you're having.
Tea.
That is actually a thing, and it's horrifying.
Oh,
God.
no. Why
Tea
must
in a
you
can
hurt
is a
tea
thing.
in this way?
And it's sad.
It's very sad. Just get some tea bags. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Although in America they don't have kettles. They're all insane over there. They make tea in
Some
hot
people
taps.
do. Some
This is
people
true.
do.
I'm sorry, I love you all American listeners. I'm just very tired and weird today. Me and Robbie were
Yeah.
filming for 14 hours yesterday,
Ooh,
so this
yes.
episode might get a bit weird. And Jason hasn't had a day off in years, so Sam's okay, because one of us has to be.
Yes, it's we can't have us all knackered at the same time. That would just be too much.
So, speaking of being knackered,
Yay.
it's time to rejoin our exhausted heroes, by which I mean some of you are actually suffering exhaustion, at about
God.
something like 2:30 in the morning on the 16th of Vers Flores in Flintlocks and Fireballs. Our land stands on the sabre's edge.
Our cities are a powder keg. by the chains, brother, no one's free. A life on land is short, you'll see. So gather your muskets, gather your spears, we'll plunder the shores of Calcinea. No kraken, storm or spell we fear, so come and sail with us, my dear.
It is around about 2:30 in the morning on the 16th of First Flurry. No, not First Flurries. First Flurries is winter. Or First Shoots. The first month of spring.
I love that none of us corrected you on that. No one noticed.
1798.
I was like, for a second, what, no, wait.
No, I thought
Intro.
nothing of it.
So, the party has travelled from Kion via initial teleportation. Just, breaking physics as the world knows it. Followed by a frantic 2.5-day dash across the country, covering, I think, over 200 miles in that time, thanks to the aid of magical horses. And consequently, making it through an active war zone in order to reach the city of Vendion. You have been... the party's been tasked with a sacred mission. Well, a secular mission, with some sacred parties, but nevertheless a very important one, to attempt to negotiate either a ceasefire or, ideally, a conciliation between the two halves of Sul, which have been split by the Sulian Civil War. As we join you, you have just arrived on the very edge of the hilly city of Vendion, capital of the province of Vendion, within Vendion, seat of the Dukes de Vent, and a quite defensible city, built, as mentioned before, around a hill near the bend of the River Vond. You, however, are not near the castle at the city's centre. You have teleported, again, in a technique which has been completely unknown to this world, onto the top of a warehouse. Not too far from the edge of the lower city walls. In the distance, you can hear the faint of cannon fire from the front, still close enough to be audible even from the city. While just over the walls, you can see the defensive bastions that extend out from it, where restless troops of guards and established cannon emplacements await what may well be the arrival of National Guard forces. So, it is night. You are on a roof. Tides are still active. What would you like to do?
We are going right to bed soon, aren't we?
I think we probably should. I'm fucked. And
Is
we have
there
to
a place?
negotiate the fate of a country, so we should probably be in a good state, really, shouldn't we?
Is there a place around here we can lay low?
Well, we should get off this roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, eagles.
I know nothing about this place.
Me neither. And we can't just rock up at a fucking inn, can we?
Not this time of night. That'd be rather suspicious.
Also, just in general, you know.
Depends how many inns there are. If we pretend we were drinking somewhere else, now we're looking to sleep somewhere.
Maybe.
True. Is that safe? I mean, my worry is that when I scryed on Adrian, he was talking about targets being sighted who are doing an incursion, and I just wonder if that's a little bit us.
Well, this
be,
Might not be, but
This is a warehouse. It might have an empty room we can sleep in.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I was going to
Yeah,
say, if
hold
not
up
that,
somewhere.
then maybe there's a grain store around here or something like that.
Yeah, or a stable or something.
Yeah.
That'd
Well,
do.
let's get down to the ground first. As long as we're definitely going to sleep, I can get us down.
Yeah, I think we should.
Right.
Cool. I will cast fly at 5th level. And everyone can fly!
Yay!
Hey!
Hang on, you can't usually do all of it.
It's a big one.
Oh, fantastic. That could be really helpful. Thank
I've
you.
got
useful.
nothing big left. Let's go and sleep.
All right, let's find a place to sleep then.
The three of you in your garbed in your royalist guard uniforms, gently step off the roof and touch down onto the ground below. It is late
we-
at night.
Want to change? We should change.
Yeah, do we stick out a bit in this?
That is a good question.
On the uniforms.
Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Everyone?
Anyone who wants to.
12. No, hang on. I think it's gone up. Yeah, 13. Sorry. I'm weirdly not got used to adding 1 to everything yet.
23.
12.
23. Okay. There are not many people around at this time of night. Most people have retreated to bed, or at least to wherever they can find. As a result, the streets are pretty empty, but your uniforms do match those of the soldiers on that were seen on the walls, on the bastions, and so on. So you're at least not missing any. And you do also notice that periodically there are small patrols of just about 4 soldiers at a time, usually carrying a lantern, just maintaining watches throughout the streets, just doing the night watch, going place to place, who again seem to be garbed in uniform. It looks for the most part as if the military has taken over policing duties within the city.
Martial law.
You are in looking around, it looks like you are in one of the poorer districts, as might well be expected, being near the edge of the city. In fact, kind of sniffing the air, the prevailing wind in these parts moves in a sort of southeasterly direction. You guys have emerged within the eastern part of the city because of where you came in, and it makes sense that you might be in the poorer sections because you can smell, although they're not active right now, the definite tangs of slaughterhouse, offal, tanneries, and very much brick kilns. There's a strong smell of baked clay in the area around you. In fact, looking around, you can see you're actually just on the edge of what seems to be a whole street and courtyard filled with various brick kilns. With that 23, you can see that despite, as well as the occasional guards that go by, there are people in the kilns. Or not in the kilns, that'd be
I
horrifying.
hope not. That'd be awful.
I mean, you never know. But there are people around the kilns, even at this time of night, although they do not carry lanterns. A couple of half-orcs are quietly leaning against a wall and keeping a wary eye on the premises. They seem to be, judging from their clothes, just local brickworkers, although it is a little suspect that they're out at about 2:30 in the morning.
Corzin's the only one that's noticed that, isn't he?
Corzin's the only one that's noticed
Right,
it thus
okay,
far.
what he'll say is, maybe try in the opposite direction first. There's no reason why that lot should be out this late.
You have a point, actually.
Gotta make sure no one steals the bricks.
I mean,
But
Yeah.
at 2:30 in the morning, I don't usually think about brick theft.
there's people
personally.
inside working.
Well, the bricks are the kilns aren't hot. Like there's not obvious activity, but they do have the look of two people.
These
who
are
keep
permanent
watch.
kilns rather than the more traditional kilns made of the bricks what are baking.
Okay, so I'm going to be very blunt here. I haven't done a lot of late 18th century.
You
Okay,
haven't done
'cause
kiln research. God,
industrial-
you're a
honestly,
rubbish DM.
recently
Fuck you.
I've done a lot of early 19th, late 18th century brick making research.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to write a play.
Alright, okay.
Okay, I'm really like. Okay, so please confirm to me
Please tell us about the kilns.
how
I
the
want to know.
kilns should work.
So the kilns I've been looking at,
We're
they
nerds.
they shape the bricks, they leave them out to dry a little bit, they build the brick kilns out of the bricks and then bake them. The inner bricks tend to be damaged because they get too hot, but the outer bricks are of good quality.
Oh, okay.
And then you deconstruct the whole thing.
Right.
Those are the kilns I've been looking at. It might have been different in different places earlier on.
We can also have fantasy kilns. That is
Yes,
allowed.
but I have a really clear picture in my head. 'Cause
Okay, so standing
I love this
nearby,
game.
standing
So
near the kilns, which are in varying states of disassembly, it looks like the work carried on quite late into the evening tonight, and was forced to cut off by the arrival of sunset. So while there are a number of still intact, of semi-intact so while a number of the kilns, made of the bricks that are being cooked, have been disassembled,
I'm sorry.
I just have this image of Jason doing this like beautiful sketch, and then Robbie just coming in with a rubber, like, no, wrong kilns. And then
sorry.
Jason just hastily like child drawing what he thinks these kilns might look like, and it's just really genius to me.
It's just a weird coincidence that I've been looking at it very recently. So my
That's
image is
all
very
right.
clear.
So, having recently so yes, the brick kilns in varying states of disassembly. Many of the bricks assembled and stacked off to one side. Some of which seem to remain intact, remaining intact despite the late hour, perhaps intending to be disassembled early in the morning. It looks as if, for whatever reason, the brick makers in this section of the kilns felt the need to jog off work early. Now, there are a series of more permanent outhouses and so on within the brick yard. And it is around these outhouses and these smaller, more temporary structures, or indeed, actually, ironically, more permanent, despite not being made of brick, structures, that the two half-orcs in question are busy keeping a watch.
It's like that bit in the Stephen Colbert one-shot where they're talking about stalagmites and stalactites, and he's correcting Matt Mercer. This is exactly what just happened.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm fine, I'm trying to see what you do.
Okay.
I want to go to bed.
Yeah, alright.
This
I
is super
don't like-
suspicious.
I don't like the look of them.
Let's try down the other end of the road first. I mean,
Also, I don't think it's a bad bet keeping these uniforms on. There are a lot of soldiers walking around anyway.
yeah, it'll save any awkward questions. They're probably the only people who are likely not to be, well, look odd out this time of night.
Yeah.
Alright. Just give me a... I'm just going to say, give me an investigation check, please.
I'm gonna try and be stealthy because a child in a uniform is never going to look in place.
Yeah, because you don't have your beard on, do you?
No, I've got my hood up, but
But you're definitely...
I'm still a small child in a
definitely
soldier's
still a
uniform.
child.
I might pop my boring cloak on and put the hood up if that's alright.
I kind of assumed you had, based on the fact that you were wearing a dull uniform, but yes.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, just...
Okay.
I mean,
that's
but
for
mind you,
investigation.
you might not have had your cloak on, so
Yeah,
you had your cloak.
Cloak and gloves and
Cool.
hiding.
God, stealth.
That's not very good. Oh, hang on, I've got a level of exhaustion. What do I have disadvantage on? Is it everything?
Ability checks.
Okay, I've got
I believe.
Yep, that's a whole 12 on my investigation.
Cool.
I got a 15 on stealth. I guess investigate. Oh, I got a 19 on investigation though.
Okay. Working together, you fairly quickly managed to peer through, trying to find anywhere with a indication of being a tavern or inn or similar. There's a moment where you almost get spotted by one of the patrols going by, but Scamp, you kind of hang back a little bit and hold the others back. They walk on, and you find your way to a kind of 3-story-ish building in this broadly around the kiln type area. Actually getting close towards the slaughterhouses. So it's not the freshest smelling place, but you do see there is a slightly faded sign on the front depicting a cheerful, red-cheeked halfling woman in a brightly coloured dress, apparently dancing on a grave.
Huh.
There's a tombstone behind. And there is a light in the little oil lantern over the door, which seems to indicate that it is open.
Okay.
It's not... It looks that... it doesn't look necessarily in the best repair. In fact, there are some points where the window shutters and the ground floor appear to have been smashed through at some point, and some slightly rough planking has been put onto them to keep the wind out. But, yeah, it does appear to be an inn.
Let's peer through the windows and see who's inside. Any soldiers? Any
Yeah.
people? What are we
Give
looking
me a
at?
perception check.
That is a 17.
Okay. There is a bit of light coming from through the window shutters, but it's quite low. And you do actually, peering through, you can see there are a number of tables in there. And there's a fair bit of smoke, actually. Some people are quietly smoking pipes inside. Probably about a dozen in total, most of whom are gathered round 2 or 3 of the tables. And they appear to be a mix... I'd say, of the dozen or so people I've said, 8 of them seem to be maybe local brickworkers or slaughtermen or similar, and there is a small group of 4 slightly kind of off-duty looking soldiers in uniform, who all of whom are quietly gambling, playing with cards from the looks of it. You can see that there is another figure busy cleaning a tankard by the bar. What appears to be a halfling woman. Frankly, quite busty. With red hair in ringlets.
Sit with you and red-haired barmaids.
It's just a
I'm
thing.
saying
She
nothing.
called Molly.
Wearing a slightly faded looking blue dress, although it's kind of hard to tell in the dim light, as there are only a couple of candles lit inside. Celestia, you've never seen one, but assuming you describe what you see to Corzin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Corzin, this has all the signs of a pub lock-in.
Ah. Right. Sorry, this is gonna perhaps sound a bit like a stupid question, but you have taverns in the Underdark, right?
Legit, do we have taverns in the Underdark? I've never
So-
pictured them, but I don't know.
So
Because
Wine
Corzin wouldn't
bars
know.
instead.
I mean, you wouldn't. Like, you've
Wine
never really
bars
needed to
sounds
go
much
to
more
one.
right.
So it depends on your class levels.
I
Basically,
bet, frankly, I bet the slave towns have taverns, but I don't think I would have been to one.
yeah, you've never been to, like, a proper tavern. You're aware that there are, like, houses that cater to drinks and food for visiting merchants. The dwarves operate them, or places where you can get, the equivalent of coaching houses and stables for looking after your spiders. But
Fancy wine bars.
and fancy wine bars. But honestly, like, you barely stayed at them. When you've gone to visit, like, when you went to visit other houses, you just stayed in the guest rooms.
Celestia kind of goes quiet for a minute and, like, squints, thinking, you know what, no. Not really.
Alright, well,
Too
it's...
boring for taverns.
It's a common custom here that if ever there's the threat of danger or sometimes when the landlord just feels like it, they do what they call a lock-in, where they lock the door and everyone stays inside until they unlock the door again. Usually,
Or are you, like, not allowed to leave? Is it like a tiny prison?
sort of, but usually it's just an excuse to keep drinking.
What, like, forever?
Not forever, no, but
How long do they last? Like days? Like, what are we talking here? Is it like a sentence? Like a lock in the pub
I've not
forever?
actually heard of one lasting longer than like the early hours of the morning, to be fair.
Corzin, you're aware that, because of Molly, that most taverns' licenses for serving alcohol tend to cut off a little after midnight.
Yeah, like where we are now, most of the time, most places have laws that you can't serve alcohol after a certain time at night. This is very much after that time of night.
Oh, right. So they're not really supposed to be drinking and stuff.
Not strictly. They're not supposed to be serving. You can be drinking, I guess, but
An illicit drinking prison. Interesting.
yeah. Well, in any case, it probably means they're not going to want to be attracting too much attention to themselves, whoever's here. So
Probably,
maybe...
and it's quite dark in there, which could be helpful for us. But I am worried if we go in on our uniforms, the soldiers will be like, "Oh, hello, where are you stationed?" And we'll be like, "Oh no, I'm not a soldier."
Do we recall, or is there actually anything on our uniforms that we've got to indicate which regiment or detachment we're with?
Roll a history check, because the regimental signature markings aren't always obvious on these sorts of things.
Fair.
Would I
Okay.
be able to roll that because army training, or is that a little bit far?
Certainly try, but the difficulty class is higher
for
you.
me, yeah. No, fair
Alright.
play. If you'd rather I didn't, I don't
Ah.
mind.
Might as well.
It's not very good, so don't worry.
16.
16.
15.
Okay. 16 and 15. Just thinking for a moment about this. Alright. So there are some small markings which do exist. With a 15, Celestia, you're able to find the markings which mark you as being part ultimately of shit, how does this go? Battalion, regiment, division. Okay.
I think you know that.
Yeah.
Assuming I haven't got those the wrong way around. Yeah, because it's battalion, it goes corps, division, battalion, corps, division, regiment, battalion, platoons, squads. Alright,
Yeah.
fine. So this does mark, so you do find some markers identifying you as belonging, well, it's the uniforms that he provided you with. So, okay, as the 13th Cavalry Adjutants Corps. So you would know that means that, strictly speaking, you're not members of the cavalry, of the 13th Cavalry, your uniform would look different. You are members of the support staff to the 13th Cavalry Regiment.
So we're like the cooks and stuff.
Yes, basically.
Oh, fun.
All right.
And and Corzin with the 16. I'm going to say that's high enough that you actually know the 13th Cavalry and the 13th Cavalry adjutant's regimental nicknames.
Right.
So the 13th Cavalry are known unofficially as the Brandished Sabres.
Okay.
And the adjutant's corps attached to it is part of the adjutant's corps that's attached to it is unofficially known as the Brandished Spoons.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a small, little, tiny baby worry.
Go on.
Child in an army uniform. Real soldiers in the bar.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wear this.
I don't think you should. I think that would be bad. I hate to say this, but you might attract the least attention as a dwarf. Random drunk dwarf walking in. But if you feel weird about it, fuck it.
I do feel weird about it.
Alright, hood then. You could
Yeah,
be a little...
well, that's been up all the time anyway.
Yeah. No, if you hate the beard, fuck it, don't it? It's not worth it.
Alright, well, I
We
think...
could be soldiers, though.
Yeah. If all we do is come in as if we've just come off duty looking for a place to crash, hopefully they'll be understanding, and if we grease the wheels with a bit of gold, I'm sure they won't ask too many questions.
Hopefully.
Okay. So, you going to go in?
Oh. I assume because it's a lock-in, we're going to have to knock.
Okay. You do a knock at the door. Bit of a pause. You hear a voice call out from the doorway. We're close.
We're looking for a room. We got off duty really late. Happy to pay extra.
That seems to do the trick. There is a little of bolts, and the door opens a crack, and you see the red-headed halfling woman peer up. All right, come in. And
Come in.
We go in.
she guides you in. The three of you slip into the Merry Widow, and let's see, for each of these.
Does the woman on the sign resemble the woman behind the bar?
No.
Okay,
No.
just
That's a
checking.
shame.
Would have been great if it was, but
I love the thought of having a picture of yourself dancing on a grave as your pub picture. That would be so genius.
Yeah.
I realise it is a halfling woman as well, but no. She pulls you in, and as you go and she cracks her knuckles together and then closes and locks the door behind you. Peers up between you. Right, you want the dorms?
Yeah. How much are we looking at? Like I say, we don't mind paying extra.
Kind of gives you a quick cursory glance, but seems more focused on the money. Right. You want one for the three of you?
I'll do.
Yeah.
Good, because it's what I've got. You said you'd pay extra. 3.
Great.
She holds out a hand.
3 gold, is she saying?
She said 3.
I give her 3 gold.
Her eyes widen. She quietly clears her throat. And may I get you anything to drink? Maybe a little something to smoke? Why don't you sit down? There's no rush.
We should sleep.
We
Thank
going
you.
to go to bed, but thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, of course. Please, I'll show you up to your room.
Is she gonna rob us in our sleep?
Good question. Roll an insight check if you want to know.
I do want to know.
I think Corzin would, you know.
It's
Celestia's
15.
tired.
Okay. So, Scamp, you get the feeling that Celestia might have paid her just about 10 times the asking rate there. And the asking rate was already overcharging.
I wanted her to shut up. I might have made things worse.
You have attracted, and you do notice the 4 soldiers. One of the 4 soldiers has looked up and noticed your and marked your arrival. Although the various tradesmen, after a brief cursory glance at the door, are busy.
I raise a hand and wave casually at one of the soldiers.
Roll a deception check.
Got disadvantage on everything. It's hard. Okay, that could be worse, actually. That is... Oh god, where's deception? That's a 16.
You seem to... The tiredness of your gesture kind of plays into what the role you're playing, and after a moment of peering, kind of squinting for a moment, they return to their carts. The woman in question quickly shows you up through the back and up a set of rickety stairs that creak the whole way through. Up all the way to the 3rd floor, where she opens up a doorway to quite a cramped room with 1 bed, but there are some cushion. But there is a blanket that you can at least spread out on the floor a bit if you need to. And goes, apologies, it's not much, but if there's anything I can...
You're fine, thank you.
Sleep well. You're our guest.
You're most kind, thank you.
Okay, in you go. She shuts the door behind you.
I really thought the gold had shut her up rather than make things more difficult, but I think I might have misjudged that one. Sorry, a bit tired.
That's alright.
Got us in the door, that's the main thing.
Yeah, and hopefully this means that they're not going to ask questions until we're far away from here.
Or they'll try and rob us in our sleep. So
Yeah,
I'm
or
going
they're
to put up
asking
the alarm.
loads of questions. Yeah, do put up the alarm.
I'm
And
going
let's
to
take
the
watches.
alarm.
Because I can't imagine sleeping without taking watches.
You should sleep first. You look awful.
I do feel like shit.
No offence.
But I know you're tired. You've used a lot of magic today as well, so I don't mind.
Go to sleep.
Okay. Thank you.
So, who's taking first watch? Scamp or Corzin?
I wouldn't mind taking a watch next to Scamp. That's an out-of-character thing, but...
Okay, Corzin will take the first watch.
So I guess, if I go after Scamp last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corzin, you sit up for the first watch. Roll a perception check.
That is a 14.
Okay. You keep an ear out. And periodically you peer through the window shutters as well. There are a couple of troops of soldiers that come through every now and again. And fairly late into your watch, you actually see the several of the what look like the local what's the word I'm looking for? Artisans, tradesmen. There we go. Stumble kind of somewhat drunkenly out and quietly begin shuffling home. Yeah. Beyond that, nothing else. You hear some creaking at one point from the stairs, but then stops.
Yeah. One of the advantages, presumably, of the stairs is we'd hear anyone coming up them.
But as your one watch comes to its end, you wake up Scamp and take a rest. Scamp, roll a perception check for me.
3.
It's a magic number.
Scamp, you actually start falling asleep on your watch. You're exhausted. And you're kind of half dozing. Enough that you don't really hear the sounds. But fortunately, that silver thread you put around your the room immediately pings you to wakefulness as the door creaks open and you see one of the soldiers that from before kind of look in, peer around, meets your eyes.
Wrong room.
room.
Wrong room.
Awkwardly closes the door.
Does this wake either of the other two of us up?
It can do if you wish.
I think it would wake Corzin up. Like, whoa.
Yeah. Wrong room. Closes the door.
Yeah, I'll fucking well bet it was.
What was happening?
Wrong room, apparently.
Oh, fuck off.
Bastards. Click of the flintlock by his bedside.
You settle back to sleep, and Scamp, you continue the rest of your watch until you go to wake up Celestia.
Hi.
Hello. Quickly, just before you go to sleep. So, not good at this. I was a shit the other day, and you were right about a lot of things. And been thinking about it, like you said. Realised what I could be doing better. How are you? Are you okay? We sort of dug into your horrendous childhood the other day, and neither of us have fucking checked on you.
Not great, but not thinking about it.
Okay. If you don't want to talk about it, that's also okay, but I just realised that neither of us had checked. And that was a bit shit. And we should have done.
Maybe.
And, you know, I made a big song and dance the other day about my shit and didn't check on you with yours, and I'm sorry, and if you want to talk about it, we're here.
Wasn't anything I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't go into the stuff I really, really don't want to think about. So, I'm alright, I think.
Okay.
At the
Just
moment.
aware that there's been a lot of time where we've been sat on horses for hours with nothing to do but think.
It's not good, is it?
No.
We're not good at thinking.
No. It's not good. But,
I don't like thinking that I died. Or that I'm not... that this isn't mine. Any of this. And I've stolen it from an actual dead child. That's...
if that happened, you didn't steal it.
I did. I might not have meant to, but I did it.
This might sound a bit savage. If a child was strangled, they were strangled, they were dead. You
Yeah,
might have scavenged, I don't think you stole. That child was gone anyway.
but we
Not by
know
your
that-
hand, by somebody else's.
But we know we can bring people back. We
Not-
know that's a thing.
Not like that, I don't think. That child was dead a long time ago.
I think there are ways. I'm sure there are.
What would you be bringing back? You'd be
I
bringing
don't-
back somebody that was a few days old into a, you know, teenage body. That's... I wouldn't want that.
No.
And also, not to mention that, the fact that we're even having this conversation, it scares me. I don't like that you're thinking like this.
Just feels like maybe I've done a terrible thing and I am a monster after all.
I don't think it's like that. If you didn't have a choice in the matter.
Hey, maybe I just came back from the dead. That's also an option.
Yeah. That'd just be kind of cool.
still doesn't mean no one stopped it. That's the bit I really don't like.
How do you mean?
Well, I was a baby. There's meant to be someone that stops bad stuff happening to you when you're a baby. But I was strangled and no one stopped it.
I'm sorry.
I kind of had hoped that even if this monster who's gone around making skin into maps is my parent, I had hoped they'd cared.
Yeah.
Even just at the beginning, I'd hoped someone had cared. But they let me be murdered. There's no other way of putting it, is there?
It's a fucking steaming pile of shit, whichever way you look at it, really, isn't it? If it, I don't know if it helps. We can't change the fact that there was no one there then. But we're here now. We care. I know it doesn't fix the old stuff, but maybe we can help things be different now.
Yeah. It does help.
But I also understand that that's not something you get back. And, I understand that that's hard.
I wish I knew who that girl was, though. The one
Yeah.
who did... and where she went.
I mean, I've got an eye of the storm.
I feel like I'm not going to like the answer.
Well,
Because I don't remember her at all.
yeah. If you ever do want to know, the offer's there. No rush, no pressure.
Thank you.
But it's something you can have if that would help.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. If and when you're ready. You know? Same with all of this. If there's ever anything you want me to ask, I'll always do it.
Oof.
But, as I say, zero pressure. Sometimes now is hard enough.
Yeah.
People are shits, aren't they, sometimes? I'm sorry everyone was so horrible to you.
Not everyone was.
Yeah. She did look nice.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. I sort of feel like I should hug you. Would that
That would
be a thing you'd
nice.
want?
That would
Come
be
here.
lovely.
I just sort of wrap them up. Oh, darling, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If you ever need to talk,
I know.
okay. Now, I believe if you're ready to sleep, if you need to talk more, that's fine too.
Oh, I need so much sleep.
I believe I owe you a song.
Ha.
If you
Yeah.
still like one. Okay.
Yes, let's wake up Corzin.
I'll do it quietly. He sleeps like a
No,
fucking
let's
dead
wake
person.
up. Oh, no, we shouldn't. That's mean.
What earth do I sing? I do a very quiet rendition of How to Shed Tears.
Ooh. Okay. And, Scamp, you feel yourself lulled gently into sleep. Celestia kind of carefully set Scamp down to get some rest, and roll me a perception check for your watch, please.
18. No, 19.
19.
No, 18.
18.
I'm so sorry. It's been a long couple of days, guys. Maths is hard.
So, okay. 18.
He's doing a face, guys.
Oh, I don't like it.
So, you guys have arrived late at night, and it's actually, by the time you're doing the switchover, it's pretty, although the sun rises quite, it's like it rises around 6:30ish at this point. The switchover between the pair of you is probably around 5:45, just because of the way the things are doing. You guys will probably sleep in a fair bit. So it's only for a moment, and it's mostly because of your keen drow eyesight in the dark. But just as you take over your watch, you're kind of listening out, but you're also watching the streets. And you see a couple of figures moving quickly and purposefully, with very little sound, down the streets towards the brick kilns.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is cowled in what looks like a very high quality dark green cloak with some sort of yellowish maybe umber sort of coloured highlights around the cuffs and hood. You don't really catch much sight of them, but you do spot the curiously familiar sight of a dress that you've seen before on someone, and some surprisingly familiar some surprisingly familiar blonde hair, just a flash of blue eyes, and striding down the green dress with petticoat and makeup, you recognise, just over a moment around the corner, Veldrina, the sculptor's right hand. And they pass quickly beyond your sight towards the brickworks.
I don't wake people up for that. I tell them in the morning. I don't want people to wake up with a level of exhaustion and then we have to do stuff like
by the time you guys get up, it's about 10 in the morning. You sleep late, you have to. But even with your watch and kind of a grogginess, you do eventually all come to and prepare to plan your day.
Weird thing. I saw Veldrina of the sculptor.
Hmm.
Going towards the brick kilns. Don't know.
Oh, well, that did look criminal gangy, didn't it?
It did. It could be some of the Fisher Kings.
Which might be useful. We
That
need
could
a
be-
way in.
Yeah, that could be really useful. Or, I mean, they could at least tell us where stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Might give us information. We've now got, 2 tokens from Fisher Kings?
That's true.
How many do we need to collect to get a prize?
Not sure that's quite how
I
it
mean,
works, Scamp, but nice thought.
I think once you have a pair, you should win something. Just saying. 2 of a kind and that, It's in games, isn't it? I didn't play a lot of games as a child. I don't know.
I didn't really play ones that involve cards, so I don't know.
I think usually it's more like a full house. You get a full set.
Yeah,
You
you're
win
no
something.
fun, are you?
Well, 2's still better than none.
Well, thank you, Corzin, for that vote of confidence.
Right.
Where are our prizes, Scamp?
I want prizes.
When we're next in a town where we can go shopping without being shot, I'll get you a prize.
Okay.
That seems like a reasonable thing.
I will take that challenge. Write down in my player notebook, get Scamp a prize. Let's never remember what that means in like 6 episodes' time.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what do you... It's 10 in the morning. What are your plans?
As a thought, shall we change out of our uniforms and go and see the Fish Kings?
Yeah.
That might
Ask
be a
them if
good
they know
idea.
stuff.
Also, just good idea to get the lay of the land here. I don't think any of us have been here before, so let's try and find a way around.
I'm gonna cast Mage Armor now.
I might wear something a bit boring.
I don't think you can manage that.
No, but I shut up. I just feel like if they have a description of me, it's going to be all big hair and flashy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celestia, do you in fact own any boring...
I've got drow stuff.
True.
Well,
It's not boring, but it is not your usual fare.
I don't know, maybe I'll just wear my normal stuff with a cloak over it. Because actually, if Adran's around, he'll definitely recognise me in the drow stuff, so we're sort of in a bit of a tight corner here, clothing-wise.
we could go clothes shopping and just ignore the war.
I would like a whole new wardrobe. Fuck the country.
We can ignore the war, but I don't know that the war is going to ignore us.
Not the war. The wardrobe is what we shall deal with.
We misinterpreted what they asked of us, and we're going to get a
Corzin
new
pinches the
wardrobe.
bridge of his nose.
See, it's 10 in the morning, I'm already fucking hilarious.
Yes, of course you are. Now, shall we get going?
Yes, we probably should. I'm going to put on my normal clothes with a boring cloak over it. Fuck it.
Okay.
And gloves.
Right. So, putting normal clothes, boring cloak over it. Okay, acknowledged. Scamp.
Yeah.
So, normal clothes with hood, I'm assuming, but no beard.
Oh, yes.
And Corzin clothes.
Yeah.
Basically back in your sailor's garb.
Yeah.
All right. So, the three of you make your way down. The halfling is already up, and you can smell the smells of what smells like a kind of thin porridge, actually.
Wow.
And she looks up and goes like, my favorite guests. Would you care for something to eat?
Do you want to get breakfast here?
Well, I wouldn't mind, actually.
Yeah, we might as well, actually. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Of course. And all for you. No more than one. One for the whole group.
I'll give her a silver.
She looks around. There's a brief moment of sadness in her face, but she takes it and, still overcharging you, meets you all at a bowl of thin gruel and 3 watery small beers to start your day. It's calories, it's something to keep you going, but it does. It's not the best.
I hide a gold under my bowl. At the end of the meal. Just quietly.
You quietly finish everything. Now that you're no longer tipping her massive amounts, she seems to be less interested in you than before. And there is no, and you can see there are a couple of local tradespeople who seem to have come in for a very late breakfast or maybe an early lunch or so on, where they've been able to, but they don't really you don't really draw their attention. A couple glance over at the slightly outlandish clothing under your cloak, Celestia, and there's a bit of curiosity as to why you've got your hoods up inside in the middle of the day, but people seem to be keeping to themselves in this neighbourhood a bit.
Yeah, I should have gone a bit more boring today.
Still,
What do you two think? Should I go more boring?
Well, if your only other option is full drow, no.
No, I think
I was
once we're out
thinking
in
maybe
the...
just the trousers, because they're literally silver.
I mean, they're kind of like... Which trousers are you wearing? Are you wearing?
I'm wearing the
your
least
origi-
flashy Celestia
Your
outfit.
least flashy, yeah, because your original one, which is to say, like dark. They're like purple, or was it purple or blue? The original one.
They're just covered in silver braid to the point where you can't see the colour
God,
underneath.
yeah, they are.
That's what I specified in the
Sweet
first
region.
episode.
Yeah, they're just like tacky silver braid tubes.
From what you've said, it seems like the biggest threat to you right now is Adran. So whatever's going to make it the hardest for him to find you.
I mean, Adran or anyone else who might have been warned that we exist, which could be a thing by now.
Still, you finish up your morning gruel, and
Chocolate gruel.
Of course.
I'm going to put my split skirt on that I have.
Okay.
Sort of just black one.
Yeah, you
Not like full drow, but like
you can head
purple
back
shirt,
up to the room.
black cloak, and just split
Okay,
skirt.
so it's a little bit less intrusive than I can't remember words today. Conspicuous. There we go. I was thinking, what's the opposite of the word incognito? Yeah, it's a bit less
I
conspicuous.
thought you were going to say what's the opposite of the word inconspicuous. It's like hot or hun.
Because that's a tired brain.
Yeah. So yeah, you put on your black split skirt and head on out.
Is this better? What do you think?
Yeah,
It's not
Yeah, it
worse,
should
I
be.
think.
it's not worse.
Yeah.
All right.
And the hood will cover the hair.
Corzin sort of indicates with his head, shall we,
Yeah.
So, you head out into the morning of, to the very late morning of the 16th of First Shoots. And yeah, the even with the possibility of war just on the horizon, the sort of east end of of Vondion is a hive of activity. There are still plenty of people moving around, engaging in their business, people shouting for people to move out of the way and so on. And across the way you can see that the brick kilns have been disassembled and new fresh bricks built up into place, ready to be fired for the day's brick making.
Should add, want to learn about kilns to our elevator pitch.
Yes.
There's a big old page in my notebook that just says, learn about brick making in the 18th and 19th century.
It's fine. I learned about steel making in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, so we're all good.
Ooh.
We're nerds.
are there any, foundries or whatnot here?
There might be, but not. There might be in the region, but not immediately around. You could take a look for some if you wanted.
Okay.
No.
Well, I think Corzin might, for the simple fact that he needs to track down a dwarven artisan at some point.
That's true.
True. Give me an investigation check.
Okay.
The others can help you for advantage.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I rolled a 19 and a 1 on the dice, so I'm going to re-roll the 1.
Just in case you get a 20.
No, okay, so investigation, then that's a dirty 20.
Okay. Looking around, it doesn't take long before you find your way to the indeed there is a sort of foundry area. There are a number of places. In fact, you can actually see at one point there is what appears to be a building where there is a huge pool of molten steel at one point, essentially being heated up by blazing coals, while a person on top of like a gantry, almost like a little scaffolding, is stirring it with what looks like a long stick of pig iron. They have rough cloths wrapped around their nose. It smells awful around here, but then so does most of the district. And the fumes cannot be good for their lifespan. But it does appear that they are in the process of puddling steel. One of the iron workers nearby is one of the steel makers nearby, although there are a number of foundries where people are working on manufacturing equipment, comes up and peers at the three of you as you approach. It's a stout-looking halfling sort of fellow who squints at you. He's got two big brown bushy eyebrows. He looks like, but they look like caterpillars, which is further accentuated by the fact that he's completely bald.
Oh wow! Okay.
As well.
All the hair has migrated from his head
Yes.
forwards to make two really bushy eyebrows.
Like
Afraid
two
of the back of
caterpillars
his head,
having a
it's had
fight.
to run away.
And those two caterpillars frown down at you as their sort of portly male halfling approaches. Comes, "Hi! What do you want?"
That's a good day of you. Got what bother here? And he asks if it's possible to speak to any blacksmiths that may be employed by the company here.
He nods, he gestures round down the street. There's no blacksmith here. What are you looking for?
It's much obliged to you, sir.
Oh, there's a few here. I can point you the right way. What sort of thing are you looking for?
Well, actually, it's a great thing. And he slowly starts to produce, not taking it out of the scabbard, but the saber. And he just takes it out like a couple of inches to show the indentations and whatnot. So, needs a bit of repair work doing.
He sucks his lip in through. He sort of sucks his bottom lip through his top teeth, like. Oh, I didn't work with there. It's a good workmanship. It's like, oh. Well, you
As best won't bother.
What's that? Dwarfship? Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? Whoa. You only see Goodman Orbender. And he gestures down the street. He says, "Alright, you want to get to his shop, you want to go left, and then go right, and you want to go to the house with the red tiles. That is where you find Goodman." And he directs you to the house of Goodman Orbender, who is apparently, after a complex series of directions, in a smithy with red tiles on its roof.
Celestia just like...
Good morning, brother. That's proper job, lads.
Oh, yeah.
Celestia just looks confusedly between you for this whole exchange, trying to work out if there are words happening.
Right, he's told us the way.
What? How?
We're apparently looking for a gentleman called Goodman Orbender, and he lives in the red brick house down left, right, and then at the end of the street there.
Is that...
No, left, right, left, right.
Thank you very much.
As we walk away, I just say, is that a different language or a thick accent? Or are you just making sounds at each other and it's just a big halfling in-joke that you all pretend to understand each other? And just laugh at all the other races. Because I'd be here for that if it was.
I've tried to teach you some of the basic words in Halfling, but there's a lot of nuance. And to be honest, like for example, in Keranon, I can't understand a bloody word. But
Is there like different ones?
There's different dialects.
What was that word you were trying to teach me the other day in halfling?
Great,
Sounds like a-
Gert.
Gert.
Like
Did I do
if
it
you're
right?
talking about a man of war, that's a Gert big ship.
That just sounds like you've spelt it wrong. Gert. Why does it need that many R's? Gert.
Isn't that how it is spelled?
Gert. How are you today? Oh, I'm Gert. No, it's G-R-E-A-T.
Yeah, it's...
How are you spelling it, Scamp?
Great. G R A Y.
Okay, gone a bit wrong there.
Titter.
We have to negotiate the fate of a country today.
No, let's go talk to a crime lord instead.
It's fine, it'll be good.
It'll be a proper job is what it is.
What?
That's more a turn of phrase rather than
If I just start adding R's into words, am I talking halfling?
Yes.
Gotta go and see the Kurm girl.
That was almost right. It's the Kurmgar.
The Kurm.
Yeah, they have arguments as to whether the cream goes on first and it doesn't.
The man, the portly halfling, immediately cussed you like, "Don't go talking about cream in here, eh? You in a mason area?"
Yeah, no. No.
Gert.
No.
Who was he talking to there?
To you, well, broadly to the three of you, but also to you there, Corzin.
Right, okay. No, don't worry about that, don't worry.
Wait, you don't get mixed up in the Mason's business, you understand?
There's a person there.
Good. Anyway.
Gert.
And Corzin cocks his tricord and starts walking.
Okay.
I think we made a friend.
Yeah, I think I can talk halfling now. Okay.
I will give both of you some formal instructions about this later, but I think we've got to deal with the slightly more pressing matters.
So you're gonna go head towards the to the house of Goodmund Orbender.
Yes.
Okay. So you head down the street, going left, 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 right, left, left, right, left, and it actually leads you behind the complex arrangement of smithies, forges, and steelworks in this area, and actually past the larger foundries and to what looks like almost a small, traditional-looking smithy, of all things. It seems to be would almost look like a cottage if it wasn't for the... it's because it seems, as far as you can tell, to only be a single story high, kind of perched between larger buildings. What seems to be a small cottage with almost beautifully done brick walls, with every brick perfectly aligned, and a set of smooth glazed red tiles on the roof. And it looks like it's there's probably two sets, broadly speaking, of the two rooms in here. The first room is open to the air. The second is behind a door, which you would guess to be the inhabitants' private chambers. It's actually quite a small little affair. And looking at it, and out front you can see there's a traditional small coal-fired forge with a smithy's with an anvil, a set of hammers, tongs, classic metalworking equipment, and you can see that there is a dwarf out front, and he looks to be maybe of some age, actually.
Okay.
It's a male dwarf. He's got quite very deep brown skin, but with kind of like an almost platinum blonde beard and hair, both of which are quite strictly braided. The hair kept well back from the front of his face. The beard braided in tight braids and held in a steel ring. He's wearing he's got a blacksmith's apron on, which is just sturdy leather, but you can see that the clothes beneath are in grey linen, but very well made. Nothing, no stitch out of place. And he has some, he actually just is drawing. What's he working on at the moment? Yes. And you can see that he has a bit of a short length of steel, which is heating up with some tongs. Got thick leather gloves on in the fire. As you approach, he kind of holds up a hand to you, pulls it out, and very quickly goes with a hammer to lengthen out the steel a little. Pauses, puts it back in. Let's inspect it for a moment. Hey, how can I help you?
That was very fast work.
Well, it's not done yet.
Well, are you Ormond?
Shakes his head slowly. No, I'm Goodmund. Ormond is my brother. Ormond works in the mountains.
Right. Must have misheard that. Never mind. There's a thing I was wondering if you could help me with, and I take out the saber and place it down. So I need some repair work done on this. I was told that it was best to take it to a dwarven craftsman, as that was probably who it was made by in the first place.
He glances at the steel. Would you mind taking that off the anvil for a moment?
I do so.
He immediately pulls out the steel. It's like watching a machine hammer at work. Pulls it out, examines it, puts it back in. All right, let me take a look. And takes it, draws the scabbard, examines it. Not bad work. Looks like... I recognize this. She closes it shut. Yeah. That will have come out of the... that will have come out of the Red Folder Forges. I think I can work with that. It looks like you've got a bit of of acid damage to it.
Yeah, that's right.
He nods. Give me a moment. Hands you the scab back. Pulls the steel out. It's almost each time he's doing it, it's beginning more and more to start looking like a knife. Just like the broad shape of one.
I very quietly at the back lean down to Scamp. I really want to ask him how much his hammer is, because it's like one of the 3 phrases I can say in Dwarven. But that would be stupid. I just want to do it because he's actually a dwarf with a hammer. I just wanted to share that with someone.
He blows it, kind of looks over for a moment, and then turns and quenches it in a bucket of oil. That will do for now. He gives a whistle, and a young halfling girl of maybe like 13 pops out, and he looks at her, and he says, Emma, do you mind watching the forge? Just going to take these people into the workshop. The halfling girl nods. So he looks at you for a moment. It's not going to be cheap repair work.
No, he didn't think it was, but we can talk about that.
Alright, well, you get the quality you pay for.
I'm sure I do.
It's not too bad. I think I can work to do a lot of the repairs, because it's good steel to begin with, but you're going to be looking at close to, I want to say, 70 gold crowns.
All right.
I realise that's probably about 10 times what you'd pay for a normal saber, but he shrugs one shoulder. This is red folder work I'm working on.
And I'm sure it has. Yes. Well, I think we can come to an arrangement.
I
What
prefer
sort-
to do the haggling before I start the work, if that's all right.
That's perfectly fine. What sort of time scale are we looking at for the repairs?
Mind if I take another look?
Certainly.
Takes a look at it, peers it in the light. Should take me about half an hour for these. You can sit around and wait while I'm finishing. If I do it in the proper workshop.
Alright. That seems fairly reasonable to me. 70 gold crowns, was it?
He nods.
Alright. And Corzin counts out 70 gold crowns.
Okay. Takes them and opens a small pouch, puts them inside, closes it. She's got a little pouch hidden under the apron. Alright, so I'm gonna have you come with me. Now, I'd appreciate it if you didn't talk too much about what you see down here. It's not that it's a little secret, but prevents too much problems with jealousy from the other smiths. So if you want to come into the back, please.
Trade secrets.
He nods, and he opens the back door. You can see there is what appears to be a very small, quaint little room with a dwarf-sized bed, a set of cupboards, a little cooking, a little kitchenette, and so on. He says, "This is Emma's room. If you'd like to all come inside, please." He gets the three of you inside. Close the door. Goes towards the heavy. Goes towards the. And see, there's what looks like a little larder trapdoor next to the kitchenette, with the little oven and so on. He lifts it up, and you can see there is a set of well-carved stone steps going down into what at first looks like darkness, but what you, Celestia, recognise as the dim blue glow of, it's bluish-greenish glow of foxfire cap mushrooms in glass bowls. The traditional dwarven method, and indeed often popular in Drow.
Yeah, we have them in our houses.
Houses of lighting their hallways. Yes. Okay,
Would
so
Corzin have
I'm.
seen these before? Would Corzin have seen these before?
I don't think you would.
Probably not.
No.
No? Okay.
Right, lead you down. Alright, so if you just follow me, it's a little dark, but you should be able to see. And it leads you down the steps, which kind of curve round and down to a heavy-looking door of solid oak, reinforced with steel bars at the bottom, and next to it are a couple of hanging from the ceiling glass bowls with what seems to be a curious mix of what looks to be just like mould, but with a few little brightly cut glowing caps in them. The whole thing is glowing a bluish green. One of them's a little dim than the other. Appears it did. Needs a bit more food. Reaches into one of the pouches hidden under his apron. Takes out what looks like almost like very finely ground birdseed. And kind of just sort of pinches a bit of it into the mould, followed by a bit of some sort of white powder, and the mould glows just perceptibly a little brighter. Alright, now it takes out several keys, unlocks 3 locks on the door, and pushes them open. Beyond, you can see there is actually quite a spacious stone chamber, which seems to have been dug out of the earth and then paved over with solid stone walling. And at the end, it seems to be a lot like it is recognisably a blacksmith's workshop. There is a couple of adjoining doors which are closed and presumably lead off to private quarters, but this main area is clearly a blacksmith's workshop, except all of the tools are made of brilliantly shining, well-kept solid steel. They seem to be made very precisely to certain measurements. This whole place is very smoothly swept and cleaned. There is no sign that you can tell of a chimney, and there isn't a forge down here, although there is an anvil. Instead, as you get to the end, you can see what seems to be... It's as if someone made a tube of steel. Just like an empty cylinder, a hollow cylinder, except that they've cut out a section of it so you can see inside rather than just round at the ends.
Okay.
And you can see that the interior seems to be patterned with a complex array of slightly differently tinted silvery metals, except for a few which are marked out in a complex series of dwarven runes that encircle the interior of this tube.
Magic?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
You don't need to roll a check for that. And as he goes to the outside, and you can see there are only a handful of runes on the exterior, which just seem to be essentially dwarven numerals, set in gradations. He goes, just a moment. Reaches over, and he actually takes off his apron and gloves, puts on a new, cleaner set of apron and gloves, hanging up, and touches some of the runes on the side. The runes on the interior light up with a dull reddish gleam, which turns to yellow, then to white. Peers at it, touches it again. They fade to a yellow-white. Don't go anywhere near the cylinder. And he gestures to the floor. You can see a matching, not matching, but a similar series of runes have been done in a circle around it. He says, just for fun, put your hand past this circle, because he's the only one currently standing in the circle.
I do it.
Okay, yeah.
So it's been a nice...
I want to do it. I want to do it.
So it's been so it's all kind of cool underground temperature until you put your hand in, and then it's just like you're standing right next to a furnace.
Oh.
And as you pull your hand away, it seems that whatever magic is in the runes is just blocking the heat from going any further.
That is very clever.
Very impressive.
Well, that's what you get when you earn your stripes, as it were, amongst the dwarves.
I can tell we're in safe hands.
Indeed, I'll be having yours at your saber now.
Right, can I hand it to him?
If you want to take a seat on the bench over there.
I do
and
so.
he watches. He carefully, with a series of tools, begins lowering the. So, because it's only exterior damage, he doesn't have to do the thing which you really should do when you're reforging a weapon, which is melt the steel down and completely redo it from scratch. That would be much more expensive. But this is mostly like just a case of doing a bit of sharpening and repair and basic repair works. So what he does is he takes the blade and he puts it into the middle of the cylinder, going in from the side. You watch as he takes off the hilt first. And just puts it in by the tang, and the blade very quickly begins to heat up and glow. When it's reached the right temperature, he takes other tools and begins carefully smoothing, straightening. Has some tools respective for just smoothing out the edges. Eventually takes them to carving tools. He works with slightly terrifying speed, it has to be said. But it's speed that is physically doable. Just it's the actions of someone who's done the same thing for 100,000 hours.
Yeah.
Imagine watching it is like fascinating.
Oh
It's
yeah,
so good at
Yeah.
It's one of those things of when you've got 10 times the lifespan of say humans. 10,000 hours isn't mastery. 100,000 hours is mastery.
Yeah, wasn't it? 10,000 hours is mastery, 100,000 you're the greatest there's ever been.
Yeah.
But if you're a dwarf,
That's
you live for
standard.
fucking hundreds
Yeah.
of years.
So you see that. So eventually, and I'm going to go into too much detail because the more detail I go into, the more I'm going to mess up my knowledge of blacksmithy, which is a little dodgy right now. And finally, he finishes by grinding down the edges and the edge and restoring the sharp edge to the blade. Takes a little bit of care to it. Then moves it over carefully to another part of the room. As he brings it out, you can actually feel the heat radiating from the sword. He takes it to another chamber, where there just to another of those little curved steel cylinders, and he presses a few of the runes on that side. And as he puts it in, he watches as the temperature seems to be. It's the blade is starting to cool down, the glowing to fade. But as he puts it in there, it stops. Seems to remain at the same temperature, and then slowly, very gradually, starts to fade down. Little bit more control than if I just use the oil.
Intriguing.
See, that sort of equipment. Well, this sort of equipment is very specialist work. You need to get a good enchanter working on that, and well, that's a high-level investment for most of what I need to do. I just use it gestures upwards with a thumb, the cheap one upstairs, because it does the job.
A pretty penny, I'm sure, but I can't argue with the results.
Nods. Anyway, we'll be spending the next 15 minutes waiting for that to cool down, so...
Probably a bit of a long shot here. But you're quite good with metal and, just in case. I'm sort of stuck in these braces.
Oh, yeah.
Probably need a priest, but just because you're good at metal, wondered if you might have a look.
Wanders over, takes a peer at them. Do you mind if I... And
Yep.
he gestures to and tries to undo it. Immediately reconnects. Oh, yeah. That's the ones. He thinks to himself, taps the edge of his beard. No, never seen anything like that in my life, but then I don't do much work with the Underdark.
Yep.
Mostly worked for home clans, and then out here in the sticks. Out here on the surface.
Yeah. Probably a good idea, that, to be honest.
Well, if you talk to a proper armourer, it's good work. I'd say those were probably from the shape of the steel and so on. That's definitely dwarf work originally.
Yeah, I thought so.
But I don't recognise the make, and they haven't got a maker's mark on it.
Nope.
Looks like they were probably done as part of a specialist commission.
Who the
But they have
fuck
had to have-
commissions these?
Well, judging from the iconography, is probably a religious piece.
Yeah. Looks drow.
Well, I can't see any of the signs that would mark a classic dwarven enchantment, so it's likely that they had the dwarf make the base piece, and then they had one of your gods or something like that do a bit of a miracle on it.
Oh, wow.
Weird kind of miracle.
Yeah.
If you
Depends what
don't
you're...
mind my asking, what sort of effects are on it, apart from the fact you can't take it off?
Sort of battle magic.
Ah, that'd make sense. Probably belong to some sort of favoured disciple.
Right.
He nods. Knowledgeably. Very common back in the day.
Right.
How long ago was back in the day, if
Yeah,
you
what do
don't
mean
mind
by
me
back in the
asking?
day?
Oh, well, it's fallen out of fashion these days, but it still happens every now and again. If your gods want to, reward or bless someone, they might have something made and then enchanted, but it doesn't happen too much. Usually prefer to act through the priests, but back in the days of the early empire, it was pretty common. They used to do it up here on the surface with the Tyrian gods, but the regent doesn't go in for that thing so much.
No, not
At least
so much.
not after the whole day globe thing.
Ah.
Well,
Corzin just ponders.
In theory, he could do it, but honestly, you need someone who's pretty favoured, and you'd be looking at... I don't know.
favoured in particular by drow gods.
Well, for that sort of work,
I'm
yes.
going to need somebody who's favoured by drow gods to get this off me.
Oh, no, you need someone who is favoured by drow gods to put it on in the first place.
Anyone can take it off, though.
I think you need someone who's probably either a skilled dwarven enchanter might be able to get you the workarounds, or who knows, the human mages are certainly coming up with a lot these days, so maybe they do it. Or I suppose classically with these sorts of things, there's probably a proper way to take them off if you know the way. But you can usually get a priest, well, a cleric, who is in sufficiently good books with their the patron, let's say, to kind of go in through the back door, as it were, and get them off that way.
A proper way to take them off. Is that always a thing?
Oh, probably. I mean, why would you make a set of battle gauntlets for a favoured champion if there wasn't a proper way to take them off? I imagine the reason you can't take them off is because they were designed to be a bit inconvenient for anyone else to put them on. But I imagine whoever they were originally meant for would probably have been told the correct way to take them off so that they wasn't inconvenient. I mean, you've got to have a bath sometime.
Yeah.
Well, quite. You don't.
Bath? Ugh.
Well, you don't happen to know if there's any dwarven enchanters in the city here, perhaps?
Oh, no. Not the right sort of market for that. You want to go into the mountains. It's quite hard to get the enchanters out here. See, we got, frankly, I'm going to be very honest. There's not many of the short-lived folk out here that have a cat's chance in the deep underdark of actually replicating most of what we do, because you don't have the necessary infrastructure. But even so, there are rather a lot of them, and it's always possible that could happen. So the enchanting clans like to keep their secrets close to the chest.
That's fair enough.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised we even found you out here.
Oh, well, I like the fresh air.
Fair. I understand that.
Does you good, I'm sure.
Back home's kind of crowded, and I thought I might appreciate the time out, learn a bit about the surface before I go back and complete my work and try and become a master.
Well, thank you very much for this. I'm much obliged to you, sir.
That's all right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And do give, and he looks to you, Celestia, and do give my regards to your superiors. I'll have the work done for them soon.
Much obliged.
Remind me what work, just so I know what I'm telling them of.
There's a bit. Some of the armor got a bit dinged up from a cannonball. I'll have the repair work on those pieces.
Okay, just making sure I got the message right. Thank you.
He gives a nod. If you could send that back to the palace for me, that would help.
I will do, thank you.
All right. Well, you have a nice day now.
You too.
Bye.
Escorts you back up to the surface and quietly kicks you out of his forge before taking back up the work on the dagger he was working on from Emma.
So, a thought. Not for now. It's
Go
not
on.
wildly important at this second. When we have a minute, I can now see the history of objects. I could look at how to take these off.
That's really useful, actually.
Or you could just use the eye to see the last time someone did.
Yeah.
That's
That
also
would also
true.
work.
The forge that he mentioned, is that at all familiar to you?
So which forge? Out of character, I'm having a moment. That's not in character, that's out of character.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which forge? I'm having a moment as well.
So no,
The Red Folder Forge.
yeah, the Red Folder Forge.
Just give me a history check, Celestia.
Oh god, I'm sorry. Somehow, adding Jack of all trades has really made me forget all my modifiers. So that is 14.
14. You've heard the name before. They're a clan of they're a dwarven metalsmithing clan. You've known them to do armory work in the past. They have a shop in Utu, where they do some work, but big orders, go up to the mountain homes to be shipped back down. Their shop in the Utu is almost like a bit of a forge for local work and really like a business front, so that they can take orders for big stuff.
They send stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly in the mountains, I think, darling.
Well, I was just thinking, I originally got this saber off one of the Ebon Guard.
Yeah, they have a shop where I'm from.
Ah.
But they put in all the big orders to the mountains. But I mean, it could be that they make the Ebon Guard stuff. That wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
Quite
somebody
good
must do, mustn't
dwarven
they?
clan.
Yeah.
Quite
Just
big.
a thought. But I like that idea of finding out how to take those things off because, well, like you said, you've got to take a bath at some point.
Yeah.
Also, it'd be nice to not have to keep killing the wildlife.
I mean, mostly that.
Yeah.
Not having to, smush rabbits every so often would be good. But also, I mean, if there's a really easy way to take them off, and it's not horrendous, there could be something I put on once in a while in a fight.
I can see how it would be useful.
As long as you take them off before dark, you're alright, aren't you?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But I mean, that depends if it's not something horrific,
Yeah.
Because it might
Well-
be some sort of quite scary way of taking them off, in which case I'll just take
Worth
them
finding out in any case. Because worst case scenario, we're just going to take you to the nearest qualified cleric
off. Dwarven
type
enchanter,
person.
apparently.
Oh. Or a cleric who can just help you take him off permanently.
Yeah.
I mean, wasteful though that would be, I'd much rather that than you
I'm
having
fine
to...
with that. I really
Yes.
am. Yeah, that would
sure
be
you
fine.
wouldn't
I'm
ever
just
project
that
it.
was just a thought for if ideal situation happens, but
No. Always good to imagine the ideal situation.
taking them off is also pretty ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Well, and Corzin is sort of examining the blade of the saber and then puts it away.
We should go and find Veldrina's lot,
Yes.
We should.
because they might be able to tell us where to go.
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay. Just going to make a quick note. I'm just making a very quick note on something here. All right,
You're
so
making a note on how to take off the braces, I can
I'm
tell.
totally making a note on how to
Because
take
you did a
the bracelet.
face when I said I was going to do that, like you hadn't considered that as a possibility.
I'd consider it as a possibility. It's one of those things where you consider it as a possibility and then you don't actually write down the method in advance. There we go. So,
Oh, it's going to be something horrendous, isn't it? I can tell.
probably.
Kill a
Take-
child, then you
Yeah,
can
but
take
kill
them
a child is exactly what I was thinking.
Kill a
off. Turn around and
child.
stab
People.
Scamp. Whoa, they're off! Look.
So, have you killed any children recently? No? Then you can't take off your gloves.
They are, made by a horrible drow spider god. Fuck it. It could be something really weird.
True, although at some point that's just going to be inconvenient.
Impractical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
have a point, actually.
okay.
I'm sorry, it's going to be at least 9 months before you can take this off again.
Oh,
Oh no. That was dark.
that was super
Jesus.
dark.
That was the
God.
darkest joke you've ever told. On or off air. That was really dark.
Oh.
Jesus, Sam.
So, where you guys are on the streets, so where do you want to go next then? You're going to try and
We're
find...
going to go to the sculptor's lot, I think, won't we?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you head back towards the brickworks, but you kind of not really got an idea of where to go from there.
Well, they went that way.
Alright,
Didn't
well,
really see anything. I mean, there was that bit with 2 guards outside. That would be my guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Worth checking out in any case.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see that returning to the brickworks there, You can actually see that there is a sign over the that was a little bit less visible in the dark, which it's an old sign. And when I say it's old, I mean it was originally made in iron. There's a bit of, you can see where it's clearly been dented at one point and then repainted over with black and so on. And it says West Wall Brickworks, despite the fact that you are very definitely near the East Wall.
It's a bit fucking weird, isn't it?
Is this some sort of backwards Sulian humour?
Or have the walls moved a lot?
Or are they trying to make it a memorable name so crime gangs can meet here?
It's possible, I suppose.
As you kind of wonder that out loud, you can see...
I do say that quietly.
You say that bit quietly, but you say the first. If you say the first bit about what that's a weird name out loud, then you see a human who's kind of pushing a sort of burly human who's pushing a load of not yet fired bricks on a cart. Kind of stops for a moment, wipes his head, and says, "Wondering about the sign, yeah?"
Yeah.
Happened years ago. The brickworks, someone tried to set up brickworks on the west wall. They got put out of business. They moved down here. They kept the name. Everyone laughs at it at first, and then once you're just used to it.
Huh.
Well, that's comforting to know. I was beginning to worry that maybe the magnetic north had changed.
Only you would ever think that.
Gaze. So what the fuck do you fuckers want? Sorry, I'm still stuck in the dwarf there. So what the fuck do you fuckers want?
We're looking for somebody, an elf lady who might be around. Green dress, blonde hair.
An elf lady?
Yes.
Can't help you with that.
Are you sure? What is it that I have from the sculpture out of character? I can't remember. It's a little
It's a
statue.
little
You have a
statue,
little
isn't it?
statue of a fisherman.
I fuck about with a little statue. Are you sure?
He frowns for a moment. Peers at it for a moment. It's like he's not really sure what you're doing with that. Shrugs.
I put it back in my pocket. Never mind, don't worry.
Well, my business. You want to? It's not my business. If you want to do that shit, you want to talk to the foreman.
All right.
Who's the foreman?
Could you point us to him or
Thumbs.
them?
He thumbs up towards the largest of the semi-temporary looking structures, which at some point actually had some bricks put under it to make it less temporary around the brickworks. Yeah. Boss is up there. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Rolls his eyes and carries on moving his bricks.
Okay.
What a cheerful person.
Oh. He even made the funny sign boring.
He has brightened my day.
Yeah, I'm very glad I met him. My life would be so much less without his warmth. I'm tired. Let's go and talk to the crime gang.
Okay, you head up towards the main building, and you can see that. And as you go up there, a couple of heavy-set half-orc bricklayers walk up. Nine. Oi! What do you want?
We're looking for someone, an elf lady. I fiddle with the statue.
Glance between each other. One of them seems a little weird. The other one frowns for a moment. Hold up. You want the boss? Okay. Gestures. Oh, that's that.
Okay.
And he pokes the door open, closes it behind him, walks inside.
Can I do a history check to see if I remember if any of the names of the Fisher Kings or the nicknames that they have has anything to do with bricklaying?
Do an intelligence check because you were told a series of the...
Yeah, I know.
no. Hang on, I
Out of
have
character, I
them.
do not remember, but in
I
character, I
wrote
might.
them down. Give me
Yes.
a minute, and I will do some looking through my notes because
So I was looking through my notes going, I cannot find it.
I've moved notebook since then.
I have.
And
I
forgot
have 2,
the old
but
one.
I've got my notebook. No, those are sending spells. It's definitely before that.
Right. If you can't find it, I'll just roll. But
Oh God.
I mean, roll anyway, just in case.
Feel free to roll an intelligence check.
natural 1, but lucky. 12.
12's enough. You do vaguely recall that Von Dion's Fisher King is called the Mason.
That's what Caterpillar Face was talking about.
What?
The halfling we spoke to earlier. He mentioned the Mason. I thought he meant that we
right.
wanted to speak to a Mason. I told him that we didn't need to speak to a Mason. We had no.
It turns out we do need to speak to a Mason. I
Yeah.
definitely do.
Okay. So as you're discussing this, one of the orcs has been kind of glaring at you. The other half orc comes back out. All right, to see you. Go in. And he thumbs behind him. Opens the door. You step inside, and you come inside what is essentially like a single room office. And there is a man. There is a figure sat behind a desk, which is literally a plank of wood propped up on bricks, in a rough chair, and he's having his lunch. There's a thick old pork pie in front of him, and I mean like a proper big dinner plate pork pie. He's about a third of the way into it.
Right.
And he's pouring gravy on it. And eating. There's a bit of there's a pint next to him, and there's a kind of meaty-looking, red-faced, fat half-orc. Although it's that kind of fat where it's covering a lot of muscle, and his
Right.
clothes are kind of light stained with lime. He's got quite chapped hand. He's got a mouthful of pork. All right,
Hello.
what do you want? Drinks a bit.
I wave the statue in front of him.
Oh, one of those, are you? right.
Yes.
Pull up a pew. He gestures in front of his desk. There are no chairs.
I sit on the floor.
Yeah, me too.
Corzin does not sit.
Alright.
Because it is still short.
Yeah.
All
He's
right, I
looking
like
sort
you.
of eye to eye with Scamp now.
Hello.
Picks at his
So-
teeth.
We're new in town. We're here on a bit of business.
Yeah, I spoke to your boss last night.
Vildrina.
Well, she was there, yeah. But you know,
Oh.
him. I assume you're here about the business.
Well, that's
Yeah, what business would that
Roll a deception check.
I want to know.
I mean, you just asked what business would that be. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
that's
business
not-
would that be?
God, I'm not doing very well at this whole being secretive thing today. That is a 13.
Raises an eyebrow. Well, it's a business, isn't it? Look, I don't know what your boss has told you. You take that up with him when you see him.
Okay.
he did mention that he had some business last time we spoke to him.
I really can't remember who we're talking about out of character.
We're talking about the sculptor. The sculptor
Okay.
said that he had.
I've got like 4 different Fisher Kings in my
Yeah.
head, and I can't
Yeah.
remember which one it
No,
was.
it's fair.
I'm sorry.
I recall that the sculptor said that if we were interested, he had some business that could take up to 6 months.
Oh, this is the same business because we're not 6 months later in campaign time.
Yeah.
We are in real time.
Yeah.
Oh,
In
yeah.
campaign time, we're not.
Yeah, because I think this was like I don't know the episode.
Yeah, it's like
like episode
episode
15,
18,
maybe.
18,
18, yeah.
like 18, 19 is when that is when
Ages
you had
ago,
that. Learned
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel less bad for not remembering that.
Yeah.
Throwing
No.
that out there.
The mason kind of spoons another, forks another mouthful of pork pie into his hand. Names. He gestures his hand.
Oh, it's Celestia Stardust. Nice to meet you.
You.
Corzin
Scamp.
Horhace at your service.
Right. Britt. Coleman Britt. Of course. Folk around here know me as a mason.
Right.
Nice to meet you anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, we were just,
frankly looking for information about the town and where the big... Hang on, what were we... I'm sorry, I'm really tired today.
No, that's fine. So
we are looking for Cardinal Victory, Bishop Jean-Luc Succoline, Marie Honoré, and Lucetta Duvonge.
Yeah.
I can't remember where we were told they were going to be, so I can't remember what to ask.
Weren't.
Okay.
You don't know where they are. But you were told that Bishop Jean-Luc Succoline was a contact who could put you in the right way.
Okay. So we're new in town, and we're looking for Bishop Jean-Luc Succoline. Looking to talk to him, not sure where to start. Don't suppose you have any information.
Shrugs a little. You want an information broker then, don't you? Alright. Tell you what, because you made me laugh, he gestures to you sitting on the floor.
Yeah, we're still
I'll
here.
Give you this one for free.
Ah, thank you.
You want to go up to... clicks his fingers for a moment. Right. You want to go up to the inner city. Not the inner city. Like, not by the palace, but... You want to go up to the... well, actually, you don't want to... Now it's moved. She's moved. Right. You want to go to the west end. Mm-hmm. Well, the southwest sort of end. Where the perfume district is.
Perfume.
We have a whole district for perfume here?
Of course we do! There's bloody Vendion. It's famous for its perfumes.
I'm not from around here.
Oh, yeah, of course. You wouldn't be, would you?
No.
Shakes his head. Yeah. Nah. People think of Vendion. They think of wine. They think of perfumes. Some of them think of bricks. He shrugs.
Odd combination of things.
We got good clay. We got good wine country. We got good flowers.
Fair.
No, not judging.
Hey, what can I say? I got civic pride.
Good for you.
Snakes more of his pork pie. Right. There's a particular perfumery you want to find. The Pointed Tail. You talk to.
Pointed Tail.
Yeah, you want to talk to Mora. She's in charge. She'll put you in direction of the right people.
Mora.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much.
Right. Usual rules apply. Cracks his knuckles. While you're in my territory, anything you steal, any money you get for killing someone, I get a fifth.
That seems only fair.
Cool.
Understood.
You want to do anything? You want to do any really big jobs? You come to me first. And you get my permission.
No plans, but sure.
All right. Well, you. Otherwise, I've told your boss he's welcome for as long as work's ongoing. So, anything else, take it up with him.
Okay.
Where might we find him this time of day?
Yeah, I've only just got in.
Oh, right. Well, I don't know where he is exactly, but his henchwoman, what was her name?
Veldrina.
Veldrina, that's it. She's got I think she's rented out the penthouse at the Brisket.
The Brisket.
Yeah, it's up in the inner city.
Okay.
Very, very posh.
Very well to do.
Very posh restaurant. Got some rooms above.
Well,
Okay.
our boss does not scrimp.
She picks a gristle out his teeth. Right. Everything?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so.
Thank you very much for your help.
Yeah, thank you too. Now fuck out off, would you?
Sure.
Cool. Have a good day.
You
He goes
too.
back to his lunch.
We've met a lot of brusque people this morning, haven't we?
Maybe that's what this town's like.
Maybe they're all brusque here.
So
Everyone's
you walk by and
probably a
someone
bit
goes,
on
fuck off!
Everyone's
Fuck
probably
you
a
too,
bit on edge because of how
Celestia,
close the
but
fighting
quietly.
is.
What?
Everyone's probably a bit on edge because of how close the fighting is.
That's true.
Actually, yeah, it's probably not
You can
cultural
actually
brusqueness,
still
is it?
hear the distant.
And you can actually hear the
stop.
cannons.
They never stop. Gee.
Still in
Well, they're
shifts.
fighting for their lives.
Yeah,
We
but
should get a
even
shift
so.
on, shouldn't we?
You do actually, as you're commenting on this, notice a flight of giant eagles return to the sort of landing, almost sort of like land airstrip style bastion at one on the edge of the city.
Makes me nervous.
Same.
We should be harder to spot in here.
Yeah, hard to pick out.
Right, let's see if we can't track down this bishop then.
Yeah.
You head around through, working your way through the East End, and the brick kilns, the ironworks, and the various other smellier, heavier industries start to give way to a very different scent. In fact, actually,
Thousands of scents.
thousands of scents. Although not thinking about where they would be, actually, you first go through the South Quarter before you do that, where the scent is not yet floral, but grape. There is at one point, as you're working your way through, there's been, at some point earlier in the day, a bit of a carting accident. And an apple cart has gotten tangled up with a cart which was carrying barrels. And one of the barrels has gone over and cracked on the side, on the brickwork of someone's house. And you can see in the street the dark stain of spilled wine.
Has the apple cart been upset at
The
all?
apple cart has also been upset, and there is currently a raging argument between the two owners, both of
Liam
whom
the
are
Bard, if
halflings.
you're still listening, hello. I really liked your song all that time ago. It was great.
But yes, as you make your way through, you do notice there's a large number of barrels that are being moved around, and yeah, it does indeed speak to the wine industry.
Looks like a pedestrian accident to me, that one.
It's not an exciting accident, very pedestrian. So, you make on
You suck.
But yes, as you make your way towards the southwest of the city, the stench of spilled red wines give way to indeed 1,000 floral, musky, confusing scents.
Ugh.
A bit sick.
And in fact, it's actually even stronger because this time of year the flowers are starting to come out because it's spring. And so you see people with literally just baskets and baskets of brightly coloured or sometimes quite dully coloured but very strongly smelling flowers, which are being conveyed over to the perfumeries where the perfume makers are busy concentrating them into their distinctive oils.
Celestia starts sneezing.
Somewhere, unbeknownst to everyone, a serial killer is busy learning the secrets of perfume. No, that's a lovely movie, but we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
You don't want to start sneezing when there are flowers.
Yeah.
Ugh. This is a lot.
It's pretty cloying.
I don't like it.
My eyes are all watery. Ugh.
But
Maybe you're allergic.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing that happens to people?
Yeah.
Some
Lots.
You can just be allergic to like growing things.
people. Well, some things just disagree with people.
That's bollocks.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew you could be allergic to stuff, but just like fucking flowers.
This is a rather heavy concentration of them.
At least you're not allergic to monkeys.
That would
very
be
true.
fucking hard work, wouldn't it?
Hello, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey is woken up in your pack and sort of emerges.
I am
Peers
as well.
around.
My eyes are itching. Fucking hell. Ah. The surface is stupid.
Sorry. Scamp,
Yeah.
could you do me a favour and roll a sleight of hand check for Jeffrey?
Oh no.
What's he
Okay.
doing?
Oh no, where's Jeffrey's sheet gone?
Oh.
Oh, you
Has
lost it a
Jeffrey
couple
been
weeks ago.
pilfering things again?
Yeah.
I had it and I left it at the. Oh,
We
I think
forgot
it's
to print you a new one, didn't we?
yeah. I feel like his dex might be plus. It's either +3 or 4.
Yes. You can.
Oh. I mean, it's going to be good because I rolled an 18 on the dice.
Okay, that'll be enough. That'll be over 20.
Yeah.
You look away, and as you make your way down, you look back at one point, and I'm going to say a little bit later, at a time of your choosing, you open your pack to find it just full of flowers. Just full of them.
Alright, that hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
There will be a moment later.
But it will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're still...
I have no reason to open my backpack right now.
No. So you're busy... Scamp's backpack, in this case.
Oh.
It's going to be full of flowers.
Oh.
So...
Just
you
Scamp
continue
then. Sorry, you were
making-
looking at me while you said it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was actually kind of looking at the... at where I imagined Scamp to be.
Which was...
Oh.
I do that.
So, yeah.
We all do that.
Which is in the chair that Robbie was sat in the other night.
Oh.
So, yeah, you...
Empty chairs. I can't
No.
sing that. It's copyright. Carry on.
You make your way onwards, and after asking a few directions, you're actually led away from the main mass of the perfume producers and to a small, not too out of the way, but down a side street, perfumery. It's a little shop with white walls, and you notice that there are actually roses in growing in baskets outside the windows. And as you kind of open the door and move in, a little bell sounds, ding, and you can see busying herself with racks of small perfume bottles, is a crimson-skinned tiefling with straight black horns, blank yellow eyes, waves of curled black hair, and is actually wearing a beige-grey silk dress. Just a minute. She arranges the perfumes into a rack and sets them on the wall, looks around. Good morning.
I'm gonna put my hood down.
Oh.
Hello.
Well, hello there. What's your name?
Scamp.
Mora Rose.
Hello,
Celestia
Mora.
Stardust. Nice to meet you.
Corzin Horhace at your service.
Ah, a pleasure. She gives you a warm smile. Can I interest you in any of my scents today? She gestures to the walls. Feel free to uncork some and take a sniff if you like.
I would like to smell everything, please.
I kind of want to smell everything as well.
So she's going to lead you down and... okay, give me a moment. Each of you, I would like to roll a d20, please.
Okay.
Ooh. Gotta roll the giant one that never rolls well.
9.
Ooh, 16.
15.
Okay, 16, 15, and 9. So, she points out... so she's going to go to them. Yes, there we go. So she goes, first of all, to you, Celestia, and you're kind of sniffing one, and it's kind of got a... it's an interesting scent to it. It's a little bit of a strong, spicy scent, but with an undertone of, curiously enough, almost like a little bit sweet, but a little bit brimstony, and just a floral scent that you can't quite place. She smiles. Ah, yes. That one we call the Platinum Dragon's Breath. It's a very popular one. And
It's amazing. What's in it?
oh, well, that would be telling.
Oh,
But
it's a secret, is it?
but I can
like it
tell
better
you
if it's a secret,
that
that's okay.
some of the flowers are only found on the Dragon Isles.
I would like to buy this perfume.
Excellent. Most ever. For you, she kind of looks you up and down. We'll call that
I go
8
red as she
crown.
looks me up and down.
8 crowns.
Okay.
I give her 8 crowns.
Could Corzin do... I would imagine it would either be an insight check or a history check, possibly, to determine if there's anything in here that Molly would be likely to go for.
Do me an insight check, yeah?
Okay, that is a 21.
Now that one, and she gestures to a green sort of speckled set of bottles that you're sniffing at. That one, that perfume we call olivine. That, and you kind of give it a sniff. There's a little bit of mint to it, of a kind of a slightly minty smell, but there's also something of... it's like a very fresh sort of clover, a little bit of citrus, and of all things, just a little bit of something that reminds you of the smell of whiskey. So it's curious. But yeah, you feel like that one would go well for Molly.
How much for this one?
It's that one... That is a popular one, but it's not too expensive to make. That one will be 5 crowns. And you should get at least 150 uses out of it.
Done.
And she looks over to the one that you're looking at, sniffing at, Scamp.
What would you recommend for a monkey?
For a monkey? Well, I was looking at the cake sprinkle ones you were looking at, but...
This is cake sprinkles?
Take a sniff. And there is, curiously, these ones have a sort of, almost like a bit of a vanilla sponge sort of sniff to them.
Smells like cake.
And a little bit of a sweetness, and actually there's a little bit of cinnamon kind of smell to them. But for a monkey... that would smell good in a monkey, or that a monkey would enjoy?
Well, Jeffrey already smells good.
Oh, I see.
So either or both?
Thinks for a moment. Taps a long, delicate finger against her chin. You can see that her nails are the same black as her hair. I am thinking something... here we go. She reaches round and kind of runs her fingers over some of the pictures until she picks out a handful of bottles. Yes, had some trouble with the spices on this one, but this should work after a little bit of difficulty. Here we go. She uncorks it, and there is a butterscotchy, nutty kind of scent to it. Yeah, it's kind of a... But there's also just a little bit of a tang that you can't quite place. And yeah, it's an interesting one.
Are spices usually troubling?
They can be. Sometimes the guards have difficulty with the spices, but I have my ways around them, and it's well worth taking the time.
Imagine you do.
But this one would work out for your dear Jeffrey, I think. Sorry, do you actually name him Jeffrey?
Yeah,
Yes,
did
you
we say that?
Yeah, I did say Jeffrey.
You did say the
Yeah.
name. Excellent. She's not telepathic. No, and for such an adorable monkey, call it 4 crowns as well.
Can I have the cake one too, please? How much is that?
I'll throw that in for one more, just because. She reaches out to pauses for a moment to see if you're alright with her ruffling your hair.
Yes.
Okay, ruffles your hair. Just one more then.
Here you go.
New to town?
Yeah,
Yes.
we rolled in yesterday.
It's a troubling time.
Yeah, although you seem to be fine.
Well, I've been here a while, and I know how to keep trouble away from me. She smiles a little. There's a little sadness to it, but she does look around. And
How does one get into perfumes?
oh, bit of a family trade at times, but I was taught it by an old friend long ago who, well, noticed I had the nose for it, let's say.
Sorry, just being nosy.
No. Nosy is quite a useful skill here.
Yeah.
So, can I interest you in anything else?
Yes, what
Yeah.
else were we doing?
Information.
Yes.
Ah,
We are actually here for a reason that isn't perfume.
The other type of nosy.
she glides back behind the counter, reaches down, you hear the click of a lock, and she takes out a small black book as well as a gold-nibbed fountain pen. She opens it up, makes a couple of quick notes. What are you looking for?
We're looking to talk to Bishop Jean-Luc Soucolin.
Makes a small note. Jean-Luc Soucolin. Yes, I think I know where you can find him. She taps the pen against her cheek for a moment. Well, since you've bought some perfumes already, let's see what I can do. I do believe the bishop takes his lunch in the Western District. Now, you want to go... Ah, yes. You want to go to the Mad Marquis.
The Mad Marquis. Well, that does sound exciting.
It's a townhouse that used to belong to, the aforementioned Marquis.
Not like a tent.
No.
I thought you meant like a crazy tent.
No, rather a Marquis in the sense of someone who...
Like a title.
Indeed. I believe the story is that years and years ago, before my time, he went mad in that house and strangled all of his staff and then killed himself.
It's so much less fun than a crazy tent, isn't it?
Indeed.
I
But
thought we were going to the circus.
Yeah.
Oh.
But they do a very good lunch.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. No, do say hello to Hans. He runs the Marquis these days, and he'll be able to point Jean-Luc out for you.
Should we tell him you sent us?
We're old friends, sure.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to know?
Actually, personal question, if a little personal, I hope you don't mind.
She nods.
How are things for tieflings here?
Who aren't me? Not fantastic. I look after the ones closer to me, and there are some families, but they're not generally as well placed as I am. We look after our own, and if Scamp here, if you need somewhere to stay, I'm sure I can find somewhere. But we're not as many as you might find, as I hear there are over in Horn Alley over in Alisont.
Yeah, we're familiar with that.
She nods a little. Perhaps not the best place for us, if you don't have the connections.
It must have taken some doing.
She nods. Well, I have friends who protect their own.
That seems fair.
He shrugs a little.
Anyone else got any other questions?
Not really at this point, no.
Maybe just directions to that other eating restaurant we were needed to go
the
to.
Brisket.
Oh, the brisket. Well,
Why the
that's
fuck?
easy.
Hang on, out of character. Why were we looking for that? I'm getting my places.
Because that's
mixed
where
up.
the sculptor is.
That's where the sculptor is.
Well, that's where
Valdrina is.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Also, the brisket. Any information you have about where that is and what
No,
those
absolutely.
people might be doing there?
The best. I don't know if you mentioned the sculptor out loud or not.
We heard there might be somebody quite important in on business.
Many people.
I fiddle with the sculpture.
Looks at it for a moment, makes a small note in her book. Interesting. Thank you. She reaches out, looks over the shelves, runs her fingers along, and picks up 2 more perfumes, which she just places in your... just pops down next to you, Celestia. For the information. On who's staying there. Thank you.
That could not be from us if anyone asked. That would be really helpful.
I don't really mention... I don't keep a track of where the information comes from. But it's worth knowing for the sake of knowing. Now, the brisket, you want to go to the inner city. It's it's primarily a restaurant, but they do have a penthouse suite above, which I believe they rent out. And, it's where you might say the creme de la creme like to go. Very popular haunt, I believe, with some of the clergy. And she looks down for a moment, taps her the side of her face. There is perhaps a dinner reservation that might be of interest to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another interesting little rumour or anything like that you're aware of that you might be willing to trade? Someone high profile, I should say, is the reservation is for.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything we can trade to you.
Well, there's always money.
Oh, we've got some of that.
She says, thanks for a moment. Picks out 3 more of the perfumes. You now have just a stack of perfumes. I think you'll like these, but I will say 5 crowns each for those ones.
Of course. So that is 15.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pay 15 gold. So, 8 p.m. tonight. It's rare that she's in town, but she does, as she's been busy on the front and organising things. But General Marie Honore has a dining reservation at 8 p.m. tonight at the Brisket.
Good to know.
Do with that information as you will.
Actually, I do have another question.
Of course.
You seem to be a person that knows things.
It's one of my jobs, yes.
I don't suppose you've heard anything about any other drow in town?
I mean,
Apart from not just the Ebon Guard. Although any information about exactly what they're doing wouldn't be a bad thing either.
She taps her fingers along the ground, along the way for a moment. What level of depth of information are you after?
Detailed as you can.
Thanks for a moment. One moment. Let me...
In particular...
I'll get something from the back. She steps into the back room for a few moments. Returns with something a little strange. She has a very, very thin glass vial, which it's actually basically, it's like a little eyedropper. This is a little rare, but might be of interest. It's there's only a dose in here, but it does something of a collector's item, and does go for a fair rate. I am assured that while the scent is there, and I'm afraid it really does only last for half a minute or so, just long enough for one person to get a good whiff, as it were, the person who wears it will find themselves very suggestible.
Oh.
This would be... I do like you, and we have done a fair bit of business. 70 crowns for as much as I can tell you. And of course, the perfume.
Any high-ups now that are not the Ebon Guard in town? There's the information that I want. Also, yes, any information about what the Ebon Guard are doing.
There are...
Just to clarify before I accept.
Okay, I can give you that information.
Yes.
There are some. All right. She holds out the little drill. It's basically is a... So you have the suggestive perfume, which is essentially a one-use suggestion spell and a potion. Anyone can apply it to themselves, and a target of their choice within the next 30 seconds that gets within 10 feet, because they have to be close enough to smell it, will become responsive, and you can make a suggestion to them as the suggestion spell. There is a DC 15 wisdom save to resist.
I hold out to both of you. Do either of you want this? I'm kind of good.
Well, it might be useful in some of the business that we are going to be conducting here in town.
Yeah, but I mean, I can kind of do this already.
Yeah, but can you do it without people spotting you're doing it?
I suppose not necessarily. Subtle. This is subtle. Putting on perfume's not wildly suspicious, is it?
Yeah,
No.
but it would be weird if me or Corzin did it.
Yeah, I don't think it would be quite as conspicuous if you were the one doing it.
Okay, I'll keep it.
Magical aftershave.
I've written it down as suggestion perfume.
Cool. Just mark DC 15
I have
next
done,
to it.
yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Slightly lower DC than my spell.
Information. Let me think. So. Yes. So, first of all, there are at least two significant drow in town who are connected to the Ebon Guard, but not directly part of it in the same way. One of them is much more well known than the other. The first is a drow noble by the name of Lady Quilena. She's taken on a position in the palace, advising the Duchess, and directly, overseeing the local contingent of the Ebon Guard. Over their current leader, Captain Lethella, who is the head of this unit. Now, the unit has been split up so that 50 of them remain on duty in the palace, while the remainder are deployed to points on the front, where they have been showing quite a lot of success. Now, the other individual is a male drow whose name is not known, but who has acquired a reputation and is most likely what the superstitious on the front are starting to call the Wraith, a highly skilled sniper and assassin who has been making their way through the royalist lines, taking out key targets. They have had a significant impact on pushing the front back, especially by taking out leadership in moments before advances take place.
So he's been pushing the royalist front back.
Indeed.
And people have noticed?
They know that the belief on the side of the royalist is that the National Guard have acquired an elite sniper and assassin. However, I have, through my sources, noticed this figure appear within Vontion itself on occasion before, and I believe that he has a squad of accomplices, including 2 drow, 2 halflings, and a human.
Okay.
All of whom seem to be skilled in subterfuge and deception to some degree. They appear to be competent fighters at range, close up, and with a variety of weapons. Now, part of the reason I know this is that the Ebon Guard appear to have a connection to him, as on multiple occasions we have caught sight of the drow members of his party exchanging information with members of the Ebon Guard.
But as far as the royalists are concerned, they haven't worked that out.
She nods.
Okay.
The Ebon Guard are moved here shortly before the civil war really began to break out in earnest, after they were expelled from the Mirrored Palace, where they found new employment technically under their same contract with the Duchess of Vontion. The position of the Ebon Guard is that their contract is with the legitimate government of Sul. At the moment, that is the king.
Okay.
And it seems that
Even though it was the king that ordered them to leave.
he ordered them to leave the palace. They have interpreted that to mean getting out of his sight, and when the then Colonel, now General Honore, sent a request for support, they interpreted that as a request to come enjoy the comforts that could be provided here in Vondion. Regardless, they are still being paid, albeit out of the Royalist Alliance's funds.
Oh, private funds.
Well,
Rather
the
than
war
the king.
chest, if you will. What they're using to pay the army.
Okay. But the king doesn't actually know this is happening. That's interesting.
Whether the king knows or not depends on what access to information the king has.
Yeah.
Probably not a great deal right now.
I'd imagine not.
No.
Well,
She taps the pen against her cheek for a moment, trying to think of anything else.
how did she end up as the advisor? How did that happen?
She came down with the Ebon Guard contingent when they arrived and introduced herself as a liaison from the Underdark who was interested in maintaining good relations with the legitimate government and who obviously had sway with the Ebon Guard.
Right. That makes sense.
Her position is officially one ambassadorial, although her credentials are somewhat doubtful as to whether she speaks for the Empress Ariadne. Most likely she represents a powerful house with an interest in intervening one of the 40 families.
She told them she represents the Empress Ariadne.
No, not directly. But she has suggested her position. But she has insisted on being considered a liaison for interested parties down below.
Why are they so interested?
And what does the Wraith gain by playing both sides? Do you know?
I suspect if the two are connected, it maneuvers them into a position where the Ebon Guard are looking, smelling like roses. You see, they, unlike the rest of the mundane troops, have been having a string of almost unqualified successes. And yet, despite their actions, the main line has continued to be pushed back. I might advise you that if things continue the way they are, you may wish to be out of Ondion by the end of the week.
Why?
Because the front's being pushed back.
So there'll be conflict here?
She nods.
I mean, we can hear the guns now. They're not that far away.
Yeah.
Will you be okay?
I'll be fine. I have a way out, and for those who I take with me.
Okay. If you need help, though, let me know.
She smiles warmly. Money and information buy a lot of help already. And with all due respect, you're young. I can see you have some adults to help look after you, but you should focus on keeping yourself safe, little one.
I'm not very good at that.
You managed thus far.
Well, if you end up leaving and you want some people in a town, it's a very nice family called the Gramanis. They're in Horn Alley. Very sweet.
Nods a little, makes a note.
Mention us to them.
All right.
They're friends. Just in case you end up lonely anywhere.
Not a problem. Unless there's anything else, I imagine you'll want to head over to the marquee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I should.
Enjoy your perfumes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic
Thank you very
dress,
much.
by the way.
Thank you. You seem to have a bit of an eclectic arrangement yourself, but I can see where you're going with some of it.
Usually prefer to be a bit flashier.
I can see how that would suit you, my dear.
We should probably head, shouldn't we?
Of course.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
Safe travels. Enjoy the perfumes.
Will do.
Thank you.
And as you make your way out and up towards the west end in search of the Mad Marquis, we are going to take a break, and we're going to find out about that after these, no doubt important, messages. If you like Flintlocks and Fireballs, you can listen to us through the free, easy-to-use app Podcoin and get paid to listen to our podcast and every other podcast. When you listen to a podcast through the platform, you'll get Podcoin. You can spend Podcoin on Amazon or Starbucks gift cards, or you can just donate it all to charity, which is what we do. If you listen to podcasts anyway, do it through Podcoin, and you can help out someone else at no cost to yourself. So, download the Podcoin app on iPhone or through the App Store on Android, and you'll get 300 Podcoin off the bat with the invite code Flintlocks. Podcoin. It's the podcast player that pays. And now a word from our friends over at Chasm Quest.
Hi, we're Chasm Quest. Come with us as we voyage across the Chasm Sea and into a heroic adventure into a new world. The quest is dangerous,
I want to ride that sword down his body, just like split him in half.
mysterious,
There's something about the new lens. There's nothing that can prepare us for what's to come.
and very, very rowdy.
We lick each other's nostrils.
Listen to Chasm Quest, all one word, everywhere podcasts are streamed. Now, let's set sail.
Hello, and welcome to the Pointed Tale. Perhaps you'd like to try out some of our scents. We have the Starry Night, the Sunken Silver, the Trickster's Milk, even Stardust. And while you're here, do make sure to like, rate, share and subscribe to Flintlocks and Fireballs. I'll know if you do. And welcome back. You fairly quickly make your way towards the west end of Vendée, and following the directions that you're given, you find yourself at what looks to be an old, quite well-off, rather nice townhouse, with a bright, which has been painted, which has been done up with a sort of pale pinkish exterior to the brick. You can see that at one point it was a very nice townhouse, and it still is. Although someone has painted for the tavern sign a cheerful-looking figure in full courtly dress, white wig, made-up face with a made-up white face, doing a merry jig. With their eyes slightly agog, in a sort of like slightly cockeyed sort of way, which is a much more cheerful Mad Marquis than, strangled all of your staff and then yourself.
Yeah. How do you strangle yourself?
You can't. It's physically impossible, but you can hang yourself.
Oh. That would make a lot more sense.
Yes. People have tried.
It doesn't work.
When you pass out, your hands let go.
Also, usually instinct
Yes.
stops you doing that sort of thing. Horrible.
So yes. But yes, the fellow in question does appear to have been human at some point. But as you push your way in, you can see that in this sort of it's kind of mid-afternoon at this point, there are a number of reasonably well-off looking individuals, not terribly well-off, but kind of white-collar, as it were, type workers, maybe some lawyers or accountants or so on, eating, drinking, enjoying well, not hearty pub lunches because rationing is still in effect, but at least they're at least able to get hold of bread and sometimes a little bit of meat, and certainly alcohol. There is a sort of convivial atmosphere to the place, even in spite of the looming front of war. You do see at the far end, near the bar, there is a male orc with yellow-brown skin and quite prominent tusks, who is busy polishing some tankards.
Anyone who could look like a bishop.
Give me an... I want to say an insight check here.
I thought maybe insight.
Yeah. Because no one's
Nobody
wearing like
obviously in a cassock or something.
Yeah, no one's wearing like a bishop's mitre or anything.
Give me a second. I'm pretty sure that's terrible, but yeah, that's a whole 12. So yeah.
Everyone here looks like a reasonably well-to-do middle-class professional.
We really should have asked her for a physical description, shouldn't we?
This might sound dumb, but do we know that it's an actual bishop?
Nope.
Not some sort of just, like, joke.
Oh, like a fancy moniker or something.
Yeah.
Well,
You have a point. I mean, he does have a lot of power. So I had assumed it was a bishop.
Well, it's someone who can introduce us. It's not necessarily...
True. I mean, I could do some looking in some heads.
Or we could ask someone.
Might not be a bad idea, but if they are a bishop, then they're more than likely going to be able to see you doing it.
Very true. I can be subtler if I need to. Let's ask first. That's more intelligent.
Let's not jump to invading people's brains.
No, probably not the best first course of action.
Is it bad to be asking after him? Is that suspicious? That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. We don't know anything about him.
Fuck it. Should we just ask at the bar?
Yeah.
Okay. You walk up, and the orc at the bar kind of looks up. Yeah? What can I do for you?
What do you two want?
Milk, please.
Yes, I can get you some milk.
We'll have a whiskey.
And I get you a whiskey. And yourself, and yourself, sir?
You got any dark rum?
So, see what I can do.
Thank you very much.
It'll be silver for the lot.
Great.
Yeah. It fixes you your drinks.
Thank you. Much obliged.
No worries. Bit of an odd question, but I don't suppose you know if Bishop Sucoline's about? You've got business with him?
That's always possible, but you mind if I ask who's asking?
Yeah. I'll look at the other two.
Some people who were interested in being put in touch with some of his colleagues.
Corzin, make a persuasion check.
Okay. Okay, that is... Oh, get this, guys.
Oh no, is it like a
It's
3?
a 7.
Oh, hun.
Your friend's a little bit sorry, but I'm afraid that sort of information is something I really do for friends. So
We are friends. We're we have a peace.
And what does that mean? Polishes the tankard.
We'd like there to be less fighting. We're trying to find ways to do that.
And we're fairly certain that the bishop is too.
I think we have the same interests.
Narrows his eyes a little bit. Roll me a straight persuasion check, please.
Me?
Yes.
18.
Frowns for a moment. Nods to one of the private booths. Yeah, that's the one you want.
Thank you.
Enjoy your whiskey.
Thank you very much.
Gives you a nod. Moves over to deal with other patrons. The corner booth, the booth that he is nodded to, has a halfling in it, sitting up on one of the high halfling seats.
He would be a halfling because super lean. There we go.
Yeah.
He has short red hair, green eyes, freckles, and even sort of tucking in, dipping his bread into the thin beef stew he has. Seems to have a bit of a cheerful, a bit of a sort of optimistic attitude. There's a bit of a grin as he's sort of humming to himself. And he's not wearing the official robes of a bishop. He's just wearing a waistcoat, cravat, and culottes. And seems to be just heartily enjoying lunch.
Right, well, here goes nothing, I suppose. Guess we walk up to him.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hello.
Hello!
Hi, do you have a moment? We've got some business we'd like to talk to you about.
I suppose so. Have a seat.
Thank you. So you'd be a Bishop Superlean, yes?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Jean-Luc, please. And you are yourselves?
Celestia Stardust, nice to meet you.
That is a mouthful. And you, sir?
Corzin Horhace.
And peers for a moment in the under the hood and raises his eyebrows. And you?
Scamp.
Well,
Hello.
what can I do for you?
We're looking to talk to Cardinal Victory Delacroix, Marie Honoré, Lucetta de Vond, any of those people, really.
You just want to speak with the heads of the alliance, do you?
Yep.
Crunches of
Yes.
this bread.
I'll be frank. We've been sent here by the Assembly.
Keep it down. You see, he looks forward a little bit more. Okay.
In character, I
Oh
was.
yeah, no, I know you were, but just like even so, he sort of leans forward. Keep it down, okay?
Okay. We've been sent to negotiate a peace treaty. We want the fighting to end. We were told you might too. We were hoping you might help us out.
Not at all. Thanks.
We're not here for any violence.
Jean-Paul said he might be sending someone. I have to say I was not expecting such an unorthodox party.
Is that a problem?
Well, you hardly look like ambassadors.
Would people who look like ambassadors have got this far?
True, good point.
He asked us.
Yeah, fine. Don't know why you're being so hostile. I'm on your side here. Well, to a degree. I'm on the side of the... Anyway,
What
this
side
is...
are you on exactly?
He takes cheese on his bread for a moment. I'm on the side of Sul, thank you very much. And I'm on the side of trying to get through 3 years of the worst harvests we've had. A time of absolute bankruptcy, the collapse of our army, our navy being destroyed by the orcs, and an out-and-out constitutional crisis. And I'd like to do it with as few people dying as possible.
Sounds pretty ideal, to be honest.
You
sound actually not biased.
He shakes his head a little bit. Everyone is biased. Even me. He chooses his bread. Even you.
Oh, yeah.
But he waves his hand a little bit. It is what it is. Alright, so you want a meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Preferably without being killed in the process.
We do
Fine.
have credentials for the right people.
You're going to need them. Alright. I've done a fair bit of politics in my time. You don't get to be a bishop unless you can. Well, that and one other requirement. He sort of flicks his fingers a little bit, and Celestia and Corzin, a previously invisible spirit appears along his arm, which looks like a long kind of blue and pink sort of mink for a moment.
That's a neat trick.
Yeah, I won't go invisible for anything. I stir the rainbow spirit about.
It looks serious. And yours. That's not surprising. Given the nature of that one.
Yeah.
Nods to Corzin's. Yours good with training. Well, not training. They're not beasts, but if they wanted to, they could. A lot of the clerics learn how to request that our companions keep a lower profile, as its uses.
You're never going to keep a low profile, are you? I look at the rainbow spirit.
The rainbow spirit crackles with little multicoloured flame for a moment.
I thought not.
Corzin sort of looks quizzically at the ambivalent octopus.
The other octopus seems to consider it for a moment. Shrugs.
I love it so much.
The little mink tilts its head a little bit too, and then fades away. Still. Alright. Politics. You've got it on the head. There's 3 parts to this alliance. You're going to need, if you want to try and force this treaty through, you're going to need the, well, really you should get the support of all 3, but you need the support of at least 2, and the acceptance, if not the support, of the 3rd. Now,
I suppose we wouldn't be able to talk to them all together, would we?
You could, but I'm going to be very blunt. If you can do the nobility, the Duchess in particular, has the largest pull. If you want to get this treaty you've come to negotiate through, you'll find it easier to pressure the nobility if you have the church and the army on your side already. Because they have the most to lose.
Great.
Or perhaps the most to gain, if you look at it another way. Regardless, they're not the most. They are the least happy with the current arrangement. Having support for a treaty from the other 2 will put you in a position where they will feel a certain social pressure. Of course, if you can't convince one of us, as is my people, the church, or Marie, then you are not. Then you will have to get the aristocracy on side if you want to convince them.
I mean, are you part of getting the church on side? Are you one of the people we need to talk to?
The people you need to talk to, yes. I can arrange a meeting with a sort of official and unofficial meeting. I have a couple of reservations I can make, pull some strings. There's a restaurant, the Brisket.
Yes.
So, What I can do is I can shuffle around the Cardinal's dinner date and inform them that we're going to have some extra guests. Now, Cardinal Victory and Archbishop Cardinal Victory de la Croix and Archbishop Scarlett Dupont are both due for dinner with me anyway at the brisket, so I will fold you into that. Mm-hmm. That will be at about 7:30 tonight.
So that's Duchess Devon.
No, that is Cardinal Victory.
Cardinal, cool.
And also the Archbishop. Archbishop
Lovely.
Scarlett.
So that would be effectively the church.
The church. That will be your first meeting. After that, I have a friend who helps organize the general's schedule. I am aware that she will be having her own dinner at 8. We may have to slightly ambush her, but with the cardinal, it'll be easier if you can get the cardinal on side. Mm-hmm. We can go and address her, and you can have a meeting there. Mm-hmm. If you once those are done, I can arrange an audience. Mm-hmm. I think it will have to be. Time is of the essence. The front is getting closer, so let's try and do it tonight. I will see if I can arrange a 10 o'clock audience with the Duchess.
That would be wonderful.
This will be a formal audience, so bring your papers.
Okay.
Now, provided you have managed to get the other two on side, then I imagine the Cardinal and the General will come with you. If you've not, you may be on your own there. Mm-hmm. The Duchess is Duchess Lucietta. She is driven. She is very much focused on achieving what she reviews to be the best for her people. I give you my warning about that. The others who will be with her, the Comte de Bennemont, I believe he used to run a newspaper, and the Duchesse de Salière, a lady by the name of Catherine de Berg, will most likely be in attendance as well. They are powerful individuals who are perhaps more interested in the concerns of their peers.
Of the rich.
Of their peers. There are many forms of the rich. Some of them support your assembly.
Okay.
But, put his hand to one side, we'll arrange those and make sure that they are set up for your meetings. If you have questions now, I can answer some of them. Otherwise, I will prepare those ahead of time.
Any questions?
I would advise you if you can do dress up for the brisket.
Okay.
Right.
He looks to you, Corzin. I can lend you something from my wardrobe.
That would be appreciated. You seem something of a pragmatist with all of this. Am I to take it that you are in favor of peace, however that may be achieved?
I am aware that the war is not going so well as some people would like, and I am aware that it is only a matter of time before outside forces decide to engage in a liberation and maybe take some of the more disputed lands on the northern borders for themselves in the process. Either way, there will be a great loss of life.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to prevent.
The Regent teaches us to look after our fellow people. Sometimes good people disagree on the best way to do that. But for our disagreements, some of us are still good people.
We've seen living proof of this.
Sort of finishes off his heel of bread.
Anything else we should know about any of these people? Any real no-goes for anybody?
Taps for a moment and thinks. Alright. I'll talk to the people I know about. I don't know General Honore particularly well. I know that she was... I believe she's the third child of one of the lesser comtes. So... I cannot remember exactly which one. She doesn't talk much about her family, and she's not a very social person anyway. But she has the respect of her officers and her soldiers. She is effectively a war hero.
Right.
Right.
I know that she can be a little prickly, and she's very much focused on business. She was... Thanks for a moment. She was one of the... To a degree, I believe she was the personal protege of General Fernald and was very distraught about his death. Let me think. I don't know much more than that. I know she has been dealing with things towards the front and has returned essentially to liaise with the Duchess before returning, so she will not be here for long. Now, the Cardinal is what I would also call a pragmatist to a degree.
A what? Sorry?
A pragmatist.
Pragmatist.
She is aware of the realistic limitations of the world, but she is devout, as any good cardinal should be. She very much cares for the teachings of the regent and for the power of the Mother Church. Between you and me, I believe one day she has ambitions to perhaps becoming the Holy Mother, when the present Holy Mother should pass from this mortal coil to be close to the regent. But that's a politics thing. Regardless, I will say that she is very experienced. She is savvy. She is very known as being particularly good at sniffing out deceptions. So you may do best dealing forthrightly with her. The Archbishop Scolet is... he pinches the bridge of his nose a little. I hesitate to use the word fanatic. She is extremely devout, but she does care a certain amount of the about the letter of the scripture. She... if you can make a good religious argument, whether that is theological or by drawing upon scripture, it looks to you, Corzin. I feel like, no offense, but he gestures to all of you. I suspect you might have a better understanding of the doctrinal scriptures and gestures to Celestia. And
You're fine.
I mean, how much church time did you get?
They wouldn't let me in.
My apologies. Everyone should know the word of the regent. So, that is the advice I can give you on Scarlet. Very focused. Word your arguments for her with a religious bent rather than a secular one, and you'll do well.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
As for the nobles, Geoffrey is...
Jeffrey?
Comte de Benemont.
Oh no.
Geoffrey de Benemont.
Oh no.
Is that a monkey?
His name is Jeffrey.
He looks at your pack. It's like the sound
Maybe just don't mention Jeffrey
Sounds
while we're
familiar.
talking to the nobleman who's also called Jeffrey, just in case he
I
thinks it's a
won't.
joke. Just
I'll
don't
ask-
say it while we're in there.
I'll ask friend to look after Jeffrey.
Okay. I am not going to touch that with the barge pole. So,
Oh, you and me both, darling.
the Comte de Benemont is what you could call a fool.
A fool? How so?
When I say fool, I mean it in the very classical sense.
Like a
He
comedian.
jokes, he laughs, and he plays an idiot.
Is that to disguise the fact he's actually very savvy?
Well, he ran a newspaper for years.
I see.
Good way to be if you run a newspaper, actually.
Watch that one carefully. He is he will go. He's what you might call a weathercock, weather vane. He will go with where he thinks he will get the most support.
Yeah, whichever way the
very
wind's blowing, or whichever way
Indeed.
he thinks the wind is blowing.
I've just realised that I have no reason to know what a weather vane is, do I?
Nope, no wind down below.
So sorry, not from round here. What weather vane?
He'll agree with whoever he thinks is going to win.
Basically,
Don't get the analogy, but I understand what that means.
when you want
Great.
to know where the wind is blowing, you get you put up a little sort of metal fan which points in the sky. Usually we put cocks on because it's funny.
What, like dicks? Or
No,
No.
cockerels. Cockerels. But we
Chicken
make the
with-
jokes about dicks.
Picturing something quite different. Okay, well,
I'll point one out to you next time I see one. We passed like half a dozen on the way here.
yeah, great. Well, I've learnt something today. Anyway, passing over weather vanes.
Indeed. So, Catherine de Bourgh. Catherine is the opposite of Geoffrey. She actually is I should not speak too ill of the nobility, but I think she is a bit of
A bitch.
stuffed shirt, I think is the phrase. She is old. She is well connected. She is very well respected. And she is sometimes a little deluded as to what degree her opinions and beliefs actually intersect with the truth.
How much of a stick up her
Out of
arse
touch.
does she have?
She is very keen on protocol. She is very keen on the idea of respect and the nobility having their place and people in their places. She is also she's also susceptible to flattery because of it.
So we're talking more
Okay.
broom handle rather than ship's mast, alright?
As you were, indeed. Flattery with Catherine de Bourgh, the Duchess de Celestia, is a bit like... I've heard one of her courtiers once remarks that the best way to apply flattery to her is as you would mortar to a brick, with a trowel and thickly.
Okay. No need to be supple then.
Not with her, but
With the others, yes.
that will not work with the Duchess de Vont. The de Vont is charismatic. But it's not in the way that Geoffrey will try to be. Not with smiles and cheerful and jollying the way you'd think of charisma. She has a presence to her. And she is She is dangerous because she cares.
Who does she care about?
She cares about Von Dion.
Von Dion in particular, not Sewell.
Oh, Sewell is part of it, but she is what you might call an old breed of nobility. One of the ones who... There's the old... as they said in Old Sulian, there's an idea of noblesse obligée. That the nobility have a responsibility to look after those that are under their care.
Mm-hmm.
She relies to a degree upon the support of the other nobles, but she's one of the few people I've ever seen to actually take that ideal very seriously.
So she does, in some way, care about the well-being of the common people, but feels that it's her duty as a member of the nobility.
Much, but I would say that she cares more about the people as a whole than individual people. Mm-hmm. She will do whatever she feels will benefit Von Dion as a whole, which means I have seen her order the quarantine of 3 streets of people led to die by an unexpected plague because she believed it would not, because she was certain it would not spread to the rest of the city.
Okay.
She's not kind, but she cares.
And she tries.
She tries, but she is very much aware, but she sees herself as the guide and protector of her people.
Does she have any family?
Indeed. The Devons have been ruling the Von Dion for centuries. Of course, it's a very respected old line.
Of course.
I mean, most of them are in the palace.
Fair enough.
Or those that, well...
Didn't a lot of them die at one point? Or am I going mad?
That was,
I could be wrong.
there was the
Hearsay.
there was the fire, but you're talking 300 years ago?
Oh, right.
Some things like that, when the original main line of the Devons took over, and the current line, which was originally a cadet line, took over from the main branch of the family.
Ah, right. So that was a long time ago. That's what I'm thinking of. That's all.
I mean,
Yeah, I thought I'd heard something.
That's some pretty obscure history. I'm surprised you know that, given gestures again to you, Celestia.
Information travels weirdly. Sometimes we get things years and years later.
Shrugged. You seem to take that at face value.
Yeah.
But no, that would be the best advice I can give you on those people. I know the most about, obviously, the people I spend the most time with. Marie is a little bit opaque to me, but that's the best I can give you as far as the character of the people you need to talk to are.
That's very helpful, thank you.
Very helpful indeed.
That's all right.
Gives us something to start with.
Thank you.
That's all right. Anything else, or?
No, I think you've given us a good beginning.
All right.
With any luck, we've paved the way for a lasting peace here.
Oh, we hope.
In that case, gestures to you, Corzin. One moment, gets a bit of paper, a little pen, writes a note in it. That's my townhouse. Knock on the back door. Go to the servants' entrance. My valet will pass him that note. My valet will make sure he gets you something decent to wear.
Much obliged to you.
As for the rest of you, I suppose I could give you the address of a tailor.
I've got stuff.
He looks to Scamp.
I've got some things. I've got a fake beard. Would that help?
kind of raises an eyebrow.
It makes me look a bit like a dwarf.
That's a point, actually. Of all the people you've mentioned, how are they likely to react if they are aware of Scamp's true nature here?
Okay, so he thinks for a moment and rubs his eyes.
I'm sorry, but this is a factor we have to consider.
It is? Okay, are you aware of the very traditional position that the church took as to the origin of tieflings?
Literally am I, genuinely, in character?
I think it has been mentioned...
It was mentioned when I was not there.
Yes. Roll a religion check, because you know the origin of tieflings in the Underdark.
Hang on. That would be a 1.
You know that tieflings were spawned as the favoured children of the powerful gods that saved your people down many thousands of years ago when they fled the Tyrian Empire. And you presume that the tieflings on the surface are also the spawn of powerful gods.
I'm not that stupid.
No, that's all you know about the origins of tieflings. You only know how they came about, like how they're preached to have come about in the Underdark. You don't know what the origins are on the surface.
I mean, where I'm from, they say that they're the children of favoured gods and helped save our people. But I don't think that's what they're like up here from the reception they tend to get.
Right. Yes. Okay, so, basically, the position of the Regency is that what you call gods aren't gods.
I know that.
Yes. They are lost fragments of the will, and some of those lost fragments, broadly once upon a time, were referred to as demons. And some of those demons created the tieflings.
People suck, don't they?
There may actually be some strong historical evidence towards this. However,
that's not their fault.
Regardless of that position, there was a time where the church took a stance that just to be safe to kill any tieflings you found, to prevent the demonic influence. It was never officially approved by the church, but it was sort of taken, and there was some inquisitions. Anyway, what I'm saying is...
church people.
I'm not sure how Cardinal Victory would stand, but I'm pretty sure that Archbishop Scarlet would count it as a point against you.
Celestia just very obviously writes, racist cunt next to the Archbishop in a notebook. Noted?
Well,
cool.
I've got some dwarf robes. I don't like doing it, but
it is, I think...
Sorry, just shit that you have to.
Is it not widely known by this point that Machimiston is trying to do better for tieflings in Sulian society? Is trying to bring...
That's not anything to do with the church, though, is it, darling?
Interesting.
But they are going to be the representatives of whatever the new government is, aren't they?
I step on Corzin's foot under the table.
Well, I don't know. Newspaper-wise, we get the Vendian Guardian around these parts.
Of course you do.
But I've heard some rumours to that effect. I suppose if you wanted to try and play it that way, that's up to you. I am sure that you will do whatever you think is best. I'm just telling you what you're likely to face.
No, it's helpful to know who's a dickhead.
Relating to which... Okay, so, with General Marie, I have no idea. But that's, if you're saying that Misson is making a big point of highlighting tieflings in the army and so on, that would very much put you in his camp, and I am certain that the pair of them have at least professional, if not personal rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of that.
Good to know.
Catherine... So Catherine is likely to be quite condescending, if I'm very blunt. But the Duchess de Salier, I believe, I'm not sure if she's ever seen a tiefling before, and if she has, she very much associates them with being, I imagine, beggars and thieves and such.
Oh, people are shit, aren't they?
Welcome to high society.
Oh, I'm familiar. Don't get me wrong. I'm familiar with high society bollocks. This is just slightly different than what I'm used to.
What can I say? Sometimes the cream rises to the top, sometimes the scum does.
Shit floats.
Which one was it that you said was that we shouldn't lie to? Or
Cardinal Victory.
Yeah, Cardinal.
Right. So that's... Oh... Would they count being in a disguise as a lie? That feels pretty lie-y to me.
Disguising who you are is not generally the best way to conduct a negotiation, but it's a case
if the people involved are racist twats.
But if they're going to take lying as an offence as well...
It's difficult.
What I would say, my advice to you is... You may not be able to please everyone. Pick who you do want to get your support from, and it may be worth... I don't know, maybe sometimes... It might be... You're in a difficult position where you want to try to avoid making enemies, but it may be worth losing some points with some people to gain points with others.
I mean, the Cardinal's a bit more important, isn't she?
She is, but the Archbishop has influence, or she wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So I will be pushing for peace as much as I can, and I will do what I can. But you will need at least something of the assent of one of them if you get the support of the other. It'll be a harder sell if one of them actually hates you. But you may be... This is the thing. On one way or another, you can do... It's going to depend a lot on how you spin things, how you present them, and the positions you take. Everyone... You're gone. Sorry, my apologies.
How public... are these places we're meeting? Are they going to be private rooms?
There will be... Thanks for a moment.
We're going to be talking about some sensitive stuff.
We're going to be talking about sensitive stuff.
You'd hope so.
I will be arranging for private booths. Private rooms, actually, not private booths, in the brisket. They do cater to that. And, of course, the formal meeting with the Duchess will be in her court.
One other thing. Are any of the representatives involved in any way with the Ebon Guard that are currently in the city?
Well, I mean, they're currently under the employ of the Duchess, yes.
Right, so are they likely to have any Ebon Guard with them?
Most likely is they're on guard duty in the palace.
Alright, something just to bear in mind.
Mm-hmm. We've heard there's a liaison with the Underdark. Is she likely to be about?
The drow woman.
Yeah, the Lady Quilena.
Yes, that's her name. I haven't interacted with her too much. She mostly stays around the palace, talks with the nobles. I understand she is quite a favourite of Duchess Catherine, but then flattery and trowels.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, she spends a fair amount of time. If she is around, I'm sure she could be. She might make her way to the meeting, unless she is otherwise occupied.
It would be lovely if she was otherwise occupied.
Yeah, if that could be arranged, that would be really helpful. But I don't know how much influence you have there.
My influence with that part of the court is somewhat limited. My advice to you would be, her concerns are very focused with looking after the urban guard to a degree, as well as keeping an eye on the palace. While some things like this, I'm sure, as I suspect she is meddling I know she's meddling on behalf of the Underdark. No offense to your people, but
This is fair enough, yeah.
politics. In order to draw her attention away from this, because a formal court appointment is something that if she gets wind of, she'll want to attend, I suspect if something were to happen to draw her attention to the avant-garde, or maybe something or some news of greater import to her, that might draw her attention away, and if it could keep her distracted, then maybe the meeting could happen without her. But I have no idea what that would be, and I do not have the resources to make that happen.
Even that helps.
You mentioned what the church's official position on tieflings was. What is your personal position on tieflings?
Looks between the three of you. We all the regent's children. And you're right. We cannot help how we are born. It was the position of the church many years ago that the influence of the lost fragments of will would affect tieflings and make them more likely to stray from the path that would bring them close to the regent. And yet, theologically speaking,
them from the regent.
There was a fear that they would corrupt others. However, he sort of raises his hand. I actually got my doctorate in theological debate, and the position that we took in college was that they are descended from fragments of will. All of the fragments of will were at one part of the will. And this may well be an argument which is more motivated by the fear that the misguided parts the fragments took would drive them away. And yet, surely that would make them, if anything, stronger parts of the children of will than many of those of us who came after. So I held the position that while perhaps there may be certain influences, it is ultimately up to the individual to walk the path that brings them closer to the regent. So no, I would not exclude tieflings on those grounds. It is after all, there are plenty of halflings who walk the path of the void. And if they are without the influence of errant fragments of will, well, there is no reason to suspect that someone who is born with such an influence could not choose to walk a virtuous path instead.
That's a very interesting point.
So, your point of view is basically people are people.
Ultimately, yes. We all possess free will. The regent may have their designs for us, and we are free to follow those designs and get closer to the regent, or go elsewhere. But here's the thing. The regent's signs are sometimes difficult to follow, as is always the way with the regent and the saints. There are layers of disruption to the communication, especially on a grand scale. Only the Holy Mother has, as it were, a direct audience. The rest of us have to work through the more subtle signs we are given, and so sometimes we misinterpret what we are told. So part of finding the path is figuring out where there are genuine signs and where we think there are some.
Does it get boring? Trying to figure out what maybe signs somebody has left for you and not just, living?
Imagine climbing a mountain, or for you, I guess, a cliff face down below, the side of a cavern, whatever. You need to get to the top of the mountain. Some paths up the mountain are easier than others. Some paths make sense. Some of those paths cause you to misstep and potentially fall to your demise. Sometimes people who have come before or others have left a clear route up. Some places that route is not so clear and you must make your own way. The point is that you keep going to the top. And some people find their own ways up the mountain. The regent guides us to get to the top of the mountain. Sometimes how we get there is a little bit up to our own choice. There can be many paths. Sometimes climbing the mountain can be drudging work. Yes, as it is with climbing a real mountain. Sometimes it can get quite exciting, especially when you have faced choices of which paths you take. But the point is to climb.
Again, that's another very interesting take on it.
Never liked the idea of there being a set path. But I suppose it's not really relevant to our purpose. Just interesting.
It is always worth reflecting. But then again, I am a priest.
Sort of your thing.
I've spent my life trying to figure out how to guide people on the path, and the path I take myself.
Yeah. You're a better priest than I'd be.
Well, you certainly have the support of someone. Nods to the bright spirit.
Yeah. I'm lucky that way.
Well. Otherwise, if you have, if you've got some robes that, it looks to Scamp. If you've got some robes that will do, that are sufficiently fashionable for the brisket.
I've got these. I've got a rummage in my bag and pull them out. They're very crumpled, but
my valet will iron those for you if you want.
Is this the point where they discover the flowers?
Also, yes, it is.
Wow. The booth starts to
Jeffrey.
smell quite strongly. Jeffrey emerges in a mountain of flowers.
I'm sorry.
why
My
my eyes have
monkey's been flower picking.
That's why my eyes have been fucking streaming all afternoon.
And again, I am not going to touch that with a barge pole.
There
There
isn't
are
one
flowers
large enough, I assure
everywhere.
you.
Fuck's sake.
Well, it is perfuming season.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay, moving away from Jeffrey's the monkey, I suppose. Okay, can you quieten down? We are in the middle of a...
Friend, would you?
Not a problem.
Thank you.
I was going to ask, my stuff's quite flashy. Is that going to be a problem?
I suppose it's how you play it. If you think it would pass in a high-class restaurant,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it would. I think I look like an eccentric noble or something.
Of all of us, it's probably you who's going to have the least trouble.
Yeah, I think so.
Strange as that may seem.
Remember that with these negotiations, everything you do, everything you wear, how you act and who you are will be noticed and can be considered, I suppose, to take an argument, weapons or armor in a fight of words. Taking a somber dress is a safe choice. Taking something outlandish might win you points with one, may score you against with others. It will depend upon who you are talking to. Sometimes the safe choice is not always the best. The
I don't think there's anything safe about this.
well, quite. He nods to the so long as you're wearing something that will get you through the door in the first place, the maitre d'.
We'll be fine.
Well, because if you come in something which is not sufficiently presentable, the maitre d' will not let you through the door.
Wow.
You have a strict dress code then.
Oh, indeed. No shoes, no shoes, no shirt. You're likely to get taken out into the back and beaten. I jest, but really, do come dressed. Gestures to the dwarf robe. That will be fine. Really, do get my valet to press that for you. And it is up to you what angle you wish to play, whether you come with or without the beard. But wear the robes. They're nice.
Okay.
Basically, don't show up. If you show up to a fancy restaurant looking like a street urchin, they will expect you to come around the back and beg for scraps.
Ooh, will
I'm
that
sorry.
work?
Probably. They do. Sorry if that is blunt, but this is the reality of the circles we are operating in.
People are horrible. It's fine.
Alright. Unless there is anything else.
No.
No, I think we're good.
I think that's it for now. You've been very helpful. Thank you.
Ooh. One more, actually, one question.
Mm-hmm.
The Wraith.
Oh! I've heard some rumours about that. There's a...
How desperate are the army for information on him?
Well, I'm certain that... I have heard the rumours that the assembly has gotten hold of some sort of elite sniper. Or, actually, I've heard it's a squad of snipers, but you're saying it's one.
I don't say anything.
Well, I think that is information that is general would be very interested in, because whether it is, I find it hard to believe it is one, but the squad of snipers, which people are calling 08th, yes, they have they've been very well positioned in causing some weaknesses at critical times.
Mm-hmm.
I had assumed, he nods to Corzin, that it was a platoon of halflings, but if it's one person, that's terrifying.
What made you think that?
Because we're halflings, come on.
Sneaky. I mean that as a compliment.
It is.
True. Although...
It's the way we fight. It's the way we've always fight. It's fine.
It's an intelligent way to fight.
But, fine. If you have credible information, I suspect that the general would be very interested in having that.
Okay.
Especially, well, one way, depending on how the arrangements come out, I think that might be an empty sacrifice on your part if you get the treaty we're after.
But it could be a bargaining chip.
Indeed.
Yeah, that would be my thought.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt. Okay, good thought.
Alright.
I think that's it, thank you.
Well then, that seems to be all the preparations we need for now, at least from my part. I'm going to go arrange some meetings.
We'll go and look more presentable, I guess.
Indeed, and I will advise you to turn up a little early if you can, and I will meet, and I will bring. I will have Saliere, the maitre d', arrange the private room in advance, tell them to expect you, order whatever you want from the menu, I suppose I'll cover the cost. And I will meet you at 7:30 with the Cardinal
See you there.
and the Archbishop.
That's very
For
kind
all
of
of
you.
our sakes, best of luck. May the Regent be with you.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
He gives you a nod and having finished his dinner by this point, stands up, sort of awkwardly shuffles himself out. Good farewell, and makes his departure.
Well, that's certainly given us a lot to think about, hasn't it?
Anybody else horrified? Because I'm legitimately horrified.
Oh, yeah,
I just
no,
need
this
to like
got
not.
so
I need
much
to just not
scarier.
be cool for like 2 seconds here.
Take your
Cool.
time.
Yeah. Why are we being trusted with this?
It's
Because-
kind of crazy.
I better not wear my fucking codpiece to the meeting, hadn't I?
Yeah,
take
maybe
that
not
off.
that one.
Yeah, I think
Probably
I could
not a
probably
good
get away with
idea.
everything else, but I think that might be just one thing too far to a political, real government people meeting.
I'm just sorry.
Walk in, put my leg up on the table. Hello, I'm here to negotiate.
It would be a power move for certain,
I
but
mean,
I'm not
yeah.
sure it would go down particularly well.
David Bowie shows up to negotiate the Treaty of Versailles. Yeah.
I mean, basically, that's basically what's happening. I'm going to wear my top with the arrow going down in between my tits. So
Love it.
that's what's happening. Quilena might be there. Can we just talk about that
No,
for like 30
Quilina will
seconds?
not be there. We need to talk to the
Yeah, we need to do
sculptor.
something about that because, honestly, besides the fact that legitimately horrifying on many levels, that also means that we really won't have a chance.
No, it'll ruin everything.
Right, we
Yeah,
have
we'll be
to
fucked.
then contrive a way that means that she is distracted for the duration of the...
We talk to the sculptor. We get a
Best
favour.
idea.
We get someone to attack the barracks or interfere with the food or something.
Or at least give
that's-
us a way in, you know?
Yeah. That we don't even need to do it. It needs to happen at the right time.
Yeah, it needs to happen like half an hour before we go there, really, doesn't it?
So someone else needs to do it, but ideally.
So somebody else needs to do this thing. We won't actually know if she's going to be there until we turn up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
If the worst happens, then...
Then we're fucked. The treaty is fucked.
How long will it take before she has the opportunity to get a message back to your family?
I mean, I don't know.
She doesn't
But-
have the ability to use sending, but does she have anyone
Someone will
right,
in the
okay.
staff. She has people. But that's
Alright.
kind of not really the... I mean, don't get me wrong, that's terrifying, but if she's there, we're
Treaty
not
won't
going to be able to
happen.
do it. It's not going to happen. Just passing over anything personal for a second, she will fuck everything.
I'm sure she will, and I'm aware of that. I'm just trying to think that
Yeah.
if the worst happens...
I mean,
we
if the
need an-
worst happens, she can get a message to my family within, 10 minutes. And there's a city where there are loads of Ebon Guard everywhere.
Then we need an exit strategy.
Could we get her out of favour by revealing her brother is the one?
I certainly
Causing
think
problems.
that's worth doing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the general.
Yeah. That might lose her some sway for long enough.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
I can give them a name and tell them why. Because I think it is all to make the Ebon Guard look good.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
I can't see any other reason. I mean, if there is another reason, it's something none of us know about.
Well, that would be enough, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If the Ebon Guard looked like a more effective and enticing prospect to the generals here, they're going to have continued service.
The only effective one at the moment.
Yeah, it's a
Nothing
very,
else is working.
it's very much a my mother move.
Well, we kind of knew that this was always going to be their plan. Ultimately, they
Yeah.
were going to be trying to abuse the situation into their favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I mean,
we sort
the
of know
Ebengard's
why and
reputation
how.
being hit really would fuck her up. She wouldn't like that. She's all about reputation and about nobility and what it is and what it means and how it's all bullshit and you have to maintain it, you know.
Then I'm quite happy we have the opportunity to put another chink in that.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, this is really childish, but there's a lot of me that really loves the idea of, like, just losing favour for the family.
Break her toys.
Quite so.
Fun.
She'll murder me because she'll figure out it's me. But, you know, that wouldn't be a bad way to go, actually. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun.
So, we tell the General tonight. We talk to the sculptor and see if we can get him to do us a favour.
Do something, yeah.
I need to get my beard fixed. It's a mess.
It
Jeffrey's
is a
been
mess.
sleeping on it.
I'm sorry about the fucking beard thing. People are the worst.
It is awful, but some things are more important.
Yeah, I'm just...
So you're gonna wear it then?
I think I have to.
Alright.
What happens is, like, we've got to stop the fighting before it gets here.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I cannot advise you on this, Scamp. It's entirely outside of my my experience, but whatever decision you make, I'm standing by you.
Same
Thank
here.
you.
This is your personal call. I know either way, we'll play it from that.
I just don't want to ruin it. What if that's the thing that ruins it? But what if me not being good enough at pretending to be a dwarf ruins it?
I think if she sees through it, we'd be honest about it. She'll understand why. If she's the pragmatist he's made her out to be, she'll understand that it was a tactical move rather than a...
Deliberate deception.
Yeah, you know?
With malice behind it.
In a way, it's a shame it's not somewhere more public, because then I wouldn't even need to be with you. Because I'm not going to say anything particularly useful.
You don't know
Right.
that.
You were fucking good in the Kion Council thing.
Also,
You said some stuff that neither of us thought of. You were brilliant.
you've insight beyond your years, and I don't pretend to know where you get it from, but it's come in useful more than once.
Also, you're a better person than either of us.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but
Corzin, but it helps sometimes. A lot.
I think the main reason I need to be there, though, is because sometimes I want things to happen, and they do.
Yeah.
Certainly can't hurt.
Also, you know, if everything's really fucked, we can just poof to Kion. So...
It takes a minute!
Oh,
and
yeah.
it tears a big
Oh.
hole!
No,
and
I was
anyone could
getting-
get through.
I was
still
getting our
appreciate
spells
that
mixed
much.
up. That does take a while.
I mean, I can just get us onto the roof one at a time. It'll take me 18 seconds.
I still would put more money on that than, being hounded for however many days on horseback it would take us to get there.
Yeah.
Of all the places we could be in the world, how have we ended up in a city with the Ebengard and two of my siblings? Two of my two siblings. I don't have more than two siblings.
Ah.
It does seem like he was saying, oddly, well, it's an odd coincidence, if nothing else.
Bollocks is what it is.
Yeah,
well, I'm not
that's
particularly
awful.
a big believer in fate, because
Fuck
that's
fate.
it's not been
Fuck
my
him and his
experience of the world.
fucking mountain that you have to climb up a certain way. What if I want to go, fucking
Backwards.
skipping through a meadow? What if I don't want to climb a mountain? What if I want to, sing in a pub instead? Fuck off.
Quite. I mean, it was partially that sort of thinking that led me to leave Barnacle Point when I did.
Yeah.
There were a
good
lot
for
of people who, after the Kraken hit, were perfectly happy to just try and pick up the pieces and rebuild their lives as best they can, like nothing had happened, when most of it had been washed away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, good on you.
I didn't want to just accept that.
I'm glad you
I
did.
wanted to do something about it.
I think I'd probably be dead if you hadn't, and also everything would suck without the pair of you, so...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think I'm just allergic to that type of thinking. It was all about what the fucking gods wanted you to do all the time, and what you weren't and weren't allowed to... What you were and weren't allowed to do, and what you should be and where you should go, and it's just the same fucking thing, but said nicely. Bullshit.
It does sound
Why
rather...
did anyone ever think I could be a priest?
Because it was what was expected of you?
Because
There's
you
another
could see
one,
stuff.
Yeah, that's all you need,
I mean,
really.
a lot of people who have whatever it is we have do enter the clergy, it is true, but not everybody does. And it's...
Everybody does in the Underdark.
Well,
That's how it works. If you're a drow that can see shit, priest, done.
alright. Well, up here it's not quite so cut and dry, as I'm sure you've
And there
noticed.
are less of us.
But it's something that you're born with or you're not. So, whatever that means. And it doesn't... As far as I know, it doesn't, like, follow any pattern or, like, run in families, like,
No,
what colour eyes or hair you got.
I tried to hide it for ages, because I knew they'd want me to be a fucking priest, but Quilena outed me.
Right.
Bitch.
Not surprised.
It was because I was better at something than her. Well, yeah, we had to charm a person, and my mother sort of put us against each other, and of course I was better at it because magic. So, yeah. So she decided to ruin my life in retaliation.
Well, I think it's about time you got even then, isn't it?
I would like to at least stop her having any influence.
Well, that's a
Which is
start.
very nice. Yeah, it is. It's something. We should probably go and get you some clothes, darling.
Yes. All right, let's go and do that first. We
Never
need to
seen
do that
you
before we
looking
do anything else.
fancy before. It's a shame we can't get a portrait commissioned for Molly.
Yeah.
Shall she be in shock?
You'll just have to...
I shall write a song about it and sing it to her when I next see her. It shall be called Fancy Corzin.
Right.
A jaunty tune.
Corzin goes slightly russet.
Oh, I ruffle his hair.
Have you seen a fancy Corzin? I have no idea what the song will sound like. Alright, so, that being said, you gather yourselves up. Make your way out of the Mad Marquis and prepare to make the last sets of preparations you're going to make before you begin negotiating the Treaty of Vendion.
Don't you laugh when you say it.
Yeah, you can't.
You're not allowed to giggle at that.
Sorry. It's getting into something unrelated.
Tense moment, okay?
But as for what preparations you'll make, what final preparations you made plenty of preparations this
David Bowie
in this
negotiating
episode.
the Treaty of Versailles.
I kind of love it, though.
Metaphor. I just, whew.
And of course, the negotiation itself, we will pick up there next time. In the meantime, thank you all very much for playing. Thank you all very much for listening. And farewell from all of us here at Flintlocks and Fireballs, fair seas, and natural 20s.
We've crossed beyond the battle's end to treat the lion in her den. Though perfumes bought and swords repaired, no magic can help us prepare.
So gather your muskets, gather your spears, we'll plunder the shores of Calcinea. No kraken, storm or spell we fear, so come and sail with us, my dear.